and welcome to tonight's episode of Call Me Skeptical. Ring, ring, ring. How did life arise?
Want to do a role play, magic. God say poof, life. That's all you need to know, or you go to hell.
But not poof for the people who are drowning. We need to make sure that their lungs properly fill up with water.
God not going to do that with magic. What you think? He just go poof and have everybody dead?
Exactly. It's funny.
What you think this is?
That he seems to do naturally, right?
God do everything with natural process except poof life, poof universe.
Exactly. It's the fairly supernatural odd parents. But yes, tonight we are opening up the internet phone lines to see if anyone can help us understand how did life come about. Also, that's what he or she said. So, won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for a good time, billions of years in the making. That's right. What is up, everyone out there on the interwebs? Pew, 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 pew. If you are feeling shake weights, that's right. Got to keep healthy. If you're feeling fancy, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe because
they're so fancy.
So very fancy. I feel like they have a mustache. That actually will gain you access once you turn that bell icon to all to get reminders so that you can get even more fun content to join our live streams. Woohoo! During the show, feel free to tag James W. or myself at Amy Newman in chat with your thoughts, questions, or of course one-liners, because
she's got her drums ready.
She's
got them ready.
You gotta also test. Is this on?
Oh, Gavin's down there with his
Rose,
foot,
so it's on. Gavin, are you ready?
Drums. He's ready.
Gavin's ready.
He can't answer right now, though, not verbally.
That's right. Mouthful. Though I will say, I will always give shout outs to anyone who takes pot shots at young earth creationists, because it doesn't matter if you are a metaphorical theist or you are a non-believer. We can all agree that if you think the earth is 6,000 years old, well, we'll get to that later.
There are those who take their superstition with a side of reality, and we appreciate that because they're at least trying to put a toe into the water. Come the rest of the way into reality. The water's fine.
Buckets. Exactly. Come join us. It feels fantastic.
But if you just want to dip your toe in there and say, okay, maybe the earth is not 6,000 years old, we're welcoming you to do that because, hey, it's one less thing to be wrong about.
Put those buckets aside. But we are a skeptic channel, admittedly, including atheists. The two schmucks that you see before
apostate atheists.
Yeah. You gosh darn apostates. It's the sexy new
shoe
thing.
Fits.
I know. What can I say? However, Call Me Skeptical is specifically looking for views that don't agree with our own. So if you fit the bill, the link to join the show will soon head into chat and onto screen. We also love people who do agree with us, atheists, skeptics, and science-minded people. Though, like I said, and cats, or puppies.
Science-minded.
really anything under carnivora, because they're predatory, curious, and generally fuzzy
Introspective.
animals. I mean, I know, who doesn't love basically that entire package? I completely understand why we adopted both of those branches, and if seals were walking, I'm fairly sure we would adopt a seal.
That's right, April. We are both apostates. Amy is an ex-Jew. I'm an ex-Christian.
Dun, dun, dun. It is true. It does happen. But we do love, all of the theists in our respective ex-religions. We just think they're wrong.
Thanks, James Wolf. Good to have
What's
you on.
up, James Wolf? What's up, everyone? And, if you think the Earth is 6,000 years old, that evolution is a hoax, or that the world is flat, well then, OG Willigers, speak to us right away. Tonight's housekeeping is, of course, sponsored by our Patreons, like the awesome Oz from the Indians Round Table.
Thank you, Oz.
In fact, I just want to send love to the entire Tang gang. I think,
they're awesome, aren't they? They're amazing.
They are. They are a good bunch of mensches, and I just feel like we share the same mission statement, which is we are trying to connect non-believers and, as Randolph would say, normalize atheism, which you can also find on here. And Pasta Mike. Exactly, which is a fantastic campaign. You should also find them on YouTube here or at tart.live. And also Ian Davenport. Woo!
Thank you, Ian. Long-time supporter there. Thanks, Ian.
April's like, ex-Jew, oy vey. I know.
Oy vey,
it's the best combination, I do have to say, because I do like peanut butter, maybe even jelly on some matzah, but then I can also eat bacon. So
on your matzah?
I mean, probably not with the peanut butter and jelly, but well, maybe.
Bacon, peanut butter, jelly, bacon.
All together.
Elvis would approve.
But I'm just saying, you have choices, ladies and gentlemen. Choices. You don't have to do it for a god. You can eat a cheeseburger and
without worrying about pissing off.
Without worrying about blasphemy. And also, when we hear these claims, it makes a grumpy old cuss go bleep, 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 bleep. It really makes all of us kind of go like that.
To say the least, it does.
Not to mention, these holy books kind of make Diana
you are
Smith
Assemblies of God. I think she would definitely say that you are Assembly of God. He wants to know if he's a mensch.
Listen, I would like to think that you are a top quality, that I would top that Assembly of God. Nonetheless, sending love also to Diana Smith, because the holy books don't exactly treat the other gender. Remember, it's not that we're equals, it's that some are more equal than others. Remember that, folks. And also sending love to the resident.
Some are more equal with livestock.
Yo, and it's so funny. I just love how they even have to separate. Even with slavery, they have to go
maidservant, manservant.
Manservant. And hey, manservant better be first, because we can't have egalitarianisms among our slaves.
There's even a hierarchy among the peasants,
Exactly. Got to keep them in line. But also sending love to the resident archaeologist, Pat Lowinger, who has done many fantastic episodes of Talk Skeptic to me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pat.
How sacredness came to be.
Origin of Halloween.
They kicked out the other religion and then put a new coat of paint on there. But also, you should check him out at the lovely, fantastic, and I know that was a very spooky episode. Ooh.
Amy dressed up.
Look, any episode where, I can just have a little fun. At youtube.com/BiddyBuddha_.
Biddy Buddha. You'll get used to it, Assemblies of God, and absolutely James Wolf. Patience, that is, I don't know how you could go without it. I definitely approve as you be.
And also sending love to Dale Pastel, as we, of course, are just looking for a little bit of empirical evidence.
Thanks,
And
Dale. Another
that
long-time
tends
supporter
to
there.
be exactly sending love to Dale, and he's just asking, along with all the skeptics, why can't we just get a little bit of empirical evidence? It seems to be the one and only tool that is off the market to supernatural claims, paranormal claims, I don't know, whatever PR term that they have recently come up with in the past 1,000 or so years. Yeah. Creationism can't get into schools. How about intelligent design? Oh, James, it hurts me in my metaphysical heart. Oh, I think you'll be okay then.
Your metaphysical heart that is irreducibly complex, right?
It is. It's so complex.
It had to be.
Couldn't be any other way.
Out of nothing. Could never form on its own naturally.
And it's. I also love how there's no creationist like publications, or at least or no creationist scientists. You would think be producing actually in regular scientific journals if it was regular science, or let me just cut off that word. Science. There we go.
Like when they ask a creationist, okay, can you tell us what the original kinds are that you made? Oh, well, that would be a wonderful field of study for biology to look at, but as of yet, they're wasting all their time with this stupid evolution theory, so they're not looking into figuring out the original created kinds were.
And they have no predictive power. Like they can, it's almost all historical because they just look at things and say, well, it all happened in this one event, generally speaking, but they can't predict how new species come about, how diversity keeps on happening. They have no model. So once again, creationists, please help us out. Come on tonight.
Yeah.
Tell us how life arose.
Come to Amy.
Oh, baby. On your knees, off your knees, whatever you're into. We don't kink shame.
Okay, assembly. The freak can be a mensch. You can just be
what is up, the freak? The freak is a nice guy. He is a
good guy.
We disagree theologically, okay? Nonetheless, I can have good conversations.
Disagree without being disagreeable.
That's right. What's up, KCK? And what's sending loves to Dave Gar, who reminds us that the
Dave Gar in the chat. Hey,
and the Bible are flat Earth text. I know they don't want to talk about that because that's actually bad PR. Don't read it literally. It says a circle. Exactly. A circle could be anything. It's your imagination.
Where's your SpongeBob prop? We gotta get you a SpongeBob prop.
I will say probably this month, both a SpongeBob and an apple. Because, oh man, that original sin.
Doesn't say it was an apple. We're not sure what kind of fruit it was, but it must have been pretty good, huh?
Oh, I mean, let me tell you, if you're going to damn an entire species, I feel like it's got to taste pretty bombing. I feel, whatever it is. They should have made a juice out of it.
Got to be an orange.
Could it get some length?
There you go.
Original sin, now with less sugar.
Well, as we would say to Freak, as our anthem goes, please stop believing. There you go. Yeah.
Hold on.
Journey.
Probably not to that feeling.
Yeah. There you go.
Unless it lasts more than 4 hours, then contact your doctor. What were we talking about? Sending love to Dave Gar and sending love to Scott Duke, the lead of the pack.
Which I was actually told is a marketing gimmick. I've been told it does not typically cause anything like a 15-foot whale for longer for 4 hours, but they put that in the marketing that way people think 4 hours. Let me go tell my doctor what I need a prescription for.
So what you're saying is they're trying to put that out there So
4 hours?
Someone could go, man, I could really use 3 hours and 59 minutes of something right about now.
Oh, yeah. After that 4 hours, I'll be sure to call my doctor.
Yeah, they always shout out God's name, but, it's normally
Pharmaceutical
the woman doing
marketing.
all the work. But, whoever you want to give credit for, that's you. But sending love also to Regos, who also reminds us that we run a Skeptic Bible study. In fact,
right. Thanks, Regos.
We've been running through. We are in Deuteronomy right now. We put Numbers back on the shelf, which was highly exciting. Man, nothing like a
Can
good
we go back
census.
to Numbers?
I know. But thank you
a census
so much,
in between your genocides.
Exactly, because sometimes you got to get a little bit thespian and say, thou shalt take the spear and put it through the interfaith couple and make a barbecue.
Shish kebab.
Exactly.
Human shish kebab. Cooking with Yahweh. Back to cooking with Yahweh.
Hold on. We got it. We got it. So we got our first tool. You would think that's the only tool that you need, but all right. So we got everything
you have
we
your
need.
interfaith shish kebab there.
Exactly. We have everything we need to please a God.
Hey, pancake. Pancake contestant.
Well, my watch is telling me that Yahweh is a little bit angry, but that Satan seems to be overpowering
him. Is that the timeshare?
Yes.
Timeshare.
And I do have to say, if you look at kill counts, because just talking about this the other day, Satan has a smaller one than Yahweh. That doesn't mean that, doesn't mean when you have a smaller kill count that you're a good guy. But if you just had to do comparisons, when one amount of killing is calculated under a dozen, and one amount of killing is calculated in the planets.
But Amy, the devil is bad and God is good.
Everyone was evil. I love that claim that everyone is evil, because that is I hate to say a childish view of reality, but I can't even imagine a planet of just everything evil. Like you would have to imagine, because other animals aren't going around being evil. It would be like these would have to be sentient, introspective creatures that also decided to all be dicks all at the same time. Even the babies, the babies were coming out of their mothers and just
ready to kill. It
feels good to be evil.
Yeah, okay. Ready to kill.
Sure.
Ready to kill.
Sure. That really sounds like a real.
I bet those babies. I bet they were crying when they didn't even need anything. They were just crying to cry, just to make everybody else miserable.
Exactly. At whatever they could do. And the moms.
That's all they could do.
Basically, the moms just as evil. They give birth and then they just go out with their child to do evil.
Even as they're not killing their child, they're breastfeeding their child, they're taking care of it, but they're still doing evil.
Exactly. Mom, on the other hand, while she's breastfeeding, also has a knife, and they're just going in order. This makes
she's not even thinking about caring for her child. She's just thinking about the evil that she's doing.
Where's the time, James? You just gotta do what you gotta do.
It's like Sodom and Gomorrah, of course.
Or Gomorrah, exactly.
Right.
Whether you're Sodom or Gomorrah.
Of course, there were no straight people in the city. Every man in the city was there, Amy. Every man in the city was ready to beat down that door. Now, you might ask yourself,
ready to have sex with angels, which I think is just a funny claim. I'm not saying the angel wasn't hot. I just want to give a PSA out there. Anyone with eyeliner, already, if you put that wonderful black magic on right around your eye, you're already cuter. I'm just putting that out there. Whether you're a girl or a guy, eyeliner, it's for you. Okay, that's the end of my PSA.
PSA over.
Yes. And also,
no epistemology assemblies.
Well, especially if you're a magician, and I love magicians anyway because they're natural skeptics and debunkers of
James Randi
woo-woo.
And Matt Dillahunty.
Send out to James Randi, send out to Matt Dillahunty. Exactly. That'd be fun. I don't really know much magic, but I just have an appreciation for it because they really are some of the best people to debunk just absolute nonsense claims. What is up, Doubting Thomas? Sending love.
Hey, Rachel. Good to see you. Oh, we're still doing our thing. Yeah. Do your Rachel.
And last, but certainly not least,
Rachel
Holland. What? YouTube gods? No? Okay. Reminding us that, of course, whether it's the Quran, the Gospel, or the Torah, they would never support something like enslaving people against their will. Because I feel like that would be easily, checked by skeptics.
You would think they might see that one coming, that would kind of fall out of favor.
It's the little things like that you wonder if he's truly an all-loving God. They say he's all-loving.
Well, you got a fan out there, Amy. Someone says you're looking good tonight.
Oh, thank you so very much. I am just sending love into the internet-osphere. Sending love also to all of our Patreons who can be found at patreon.com/Amy Newman. That is what helps us make even more fun content and get more awesome props. But also, all of the people in chat, our mods,
Feeds, Gizmos,
and of course, that's right, and the really important stuff, the green stuff, catnip.
Oh,
and also sending love to viewers like you who make this channel even possible.
Yeah.
And
we're here for you. Help us help you.
Exactly. And all right, before we get into callers, which we are about to do.
She's about to whip it out, guys.
Oh my.
Well, no, not that. Not that, guys.
Not that.
Don't get too excited.
I know, that's the after show. But how did life arise? Naturally. This is where all of the current empirical evidence lays. In fact, life seems to have arisen early on after the planet began to form. 4.5 billion years ago. However, the story begins even further than that. You see, after the Big Bang, there was only hydrogen, helium, and a little bit of lithium.
I forgot to take my lithium.
Oh, I was going to say, exactly. Only one party's worth. It actually took gravity pulling these clouds together to form the first stars. The lights came on, and planets, moons, and solar systems formed and died. You see, supernovas only come from big stars. 15 feet worth, actually. When these stars run out of energy, they collapse. And an explosion occurs that fuses the vast majority of heavy, oh my, it's too much for me to hold, heavy elements, spewing them outwards into the universe.
Spew.
From this, new stars with new solar systems come together right now
Over me.
Exactly. With elements like the ones that we need in our body. Also electrolytes. Like carbon, which does more chemical combinations with other elements than all others combined.
Even Brondo?
Even Brondo. In
Oh,
fact,
wow.
John Stewart calls it the slut of the periodic table. Just gets around. Or water, which the earth is abundant of.
Water.
Which is good. Water, good glass. Which is good because this gives chemicals a platform by which they can react with each other. In fact, liquid water is only possible because we're in what is called the circumstellar habitable zone, which has terrible parking, which is the band around the sun, not too close and not too far, leaving a landscape that is neither frozen, like the movie, or on fire, meaning that life once again arose soon after the planet did and could exist deep under hydrothermal vents, cozy and warm, even when the top layers of water or ice, which is another crazy thing that water does.
Stop. Sorry, the producer's trying to chew on the cords.
No, it understands. Sometimes he has to fiddle with the lights and the sound.
Yeah.
Water freezes from the top to the bottom, meaning that life could survive even during ice ages.
Now, global flood.
Exactly. It was a global flood all once. Grand Canyon, boom, right there. Makes sense. For billions of years, the microscopic world was all that there was, multiplying through asexual reproduction, but also through what are called mating types. These are the equivalent of biological sexes for single-celled organisms and what would be the precursor for both sex in animals and plants, but also continued on in fungi. Which, of course, brings us to the multicellular revolution. About
you want a revolution?
You say that's right. They lifted up the flags. About halfway between the origin of life, something wonderful happened. An organism ate another organism. And instead of dying, a mutual relationship happened. That eaten organism turned out to be a tough yet powerful engine, something that we call mitochondria, and have allowed for the massive fruiting bodies, if you know what I mean, that we call multicellular life. But make no mistake, we have two sets of wonderful DNA in each cell. In fact, plants have three because they were some of the first multicellular creatures around. Simply by having photosynthetic cells, they could gather energy by looking at the sky. Fungi and animals came next, and it shows genetically. By also how we gather our food, with fungi injecting their stomach-like fluids onto other life, and animals putting substances inside of them. That's what he or she said. In fact, this is the conscious mechanism by which we gather yummy food and sometimes even mate. And it has become so sophisticated that our feelings and thoughts have sometimes begun to look inward. Wow, is that me? Which takes us from our lizard and early mammal-like ancestors all the way up to the primates we are today. So,
She just called you a monkey.
You just called me a monkey?
She just called all of you guys a monkey.
No, what I said is that we are apes, and we also have ape-like ancestors that, if you go back far enough, would include monkeys. Or sentinel. So, how did life arise? Once again, naturally, or at least, or at least that's where all of the wealth of empirical evidence lays. Though, I'm always open to having my mind changed. Thank you. And all right,
hey, Pat.
With that, before we get into maybe opposing views, maybe people that disagree with us.
Maybe,
James,
you never know, right?
That's right. We are wondering, how did life arise?
I don't know. I mean, it's a mystery. And so, of course, that was a wonderful introduction to this, Amy, and I'm not going to even attempt to put anything that as poignant as you just did. But in summation, so what I can say about this is the religion out there has always been an answer to questions that people pose about time. There have been things that we didn't know about the natural world, and religion has always jumped up and said, I know the answer. And slowly, over time, we've been looking at those answers that religion has given us. And you know what? Pretty damn often enough, the answers that they give turn out to be wrong. And the religions have recircled the wagons. They've said, okay, that's metaphorical. That, that didn't mean that. We didn't really, we were wrong there, but it doesn't mean our whole religion is invalid. And so the God of the gaps, of course, has been shrinking, because that is always what religion has been. It is God of the gaps. It's always been God of the gaps. It's never going to be anything other than God of the gaps. So they have to protect the gaps that they still have, because they have so few of them left. And the two gaps that they have left, as we all know, are origin of the universe, origin of life. Hardest questions that humanity has ever thought about, has ever posed. How did the universe come to be, and how did life arise on Earth? And these are singular events that happened billions of years ago, where there was nobody around watching when they happened. We have to piece the evidence together as best we can, and we have been doing that, by the way, which obviously gives the just out there a lot of anxiety. They're not happy that we're answering more questions about it. They would like us very much to stop asking questions and just accept the answers that they have been peddling to us for thousands of years. But we've continued to ask those questions. And in terms of origin of life, we've looked at conditions that could be reminiscent of an early Earth, and we have done experiments decades ago. And you know what we found in those experiments? We found that you get amino acids to form, which are organic compounds, the building blocks of life. You can get those to form spontaneously. Well, okay, amino acids aren't life. And no, not life. You can't say that we can't ever get that process started. You can't say we never get to step one, because we can get to step one. We do get to step one. And we know what we do know about life on Earth is that it arose fairly quickly after the conditions were even possible that it could arise. It didn't take billions or trillions of years, as some creationists might speculate that it could take. It actually took a relatively short amount of time, in the order of millions of years. And during that time, you had literally trillions of experiments running all throughout the Earth. Every puddle of water, every deep sea thermal vent was in and of itself its own little experiment. And we haven't been able to exactly replicate that experiment that did cause life to arise. We may never do that, but I tend to be optimistic, and I think that we will. But regardless of that fact, you can't say that we're not making progress, and you can't say that it's impossible. And they would like to imagine that it's impossible, because if it's impossible, well, then it had to be their God. It had to be magic. But our experience on Earth has told us that when people say things are impossible, that's usually not a very safe prediction to make. You could just look at all the people who predicted that heavier than air flying machines impossible. Smart people like Lord Kelvin predicted that heavier than air flying machines were literally impossible. That wasn't 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. That was like 140 years ago. So very smart people can be very wrong about science. And that's one reason why we consider an argument from authority to be a fallacy, because we don't look at just one expert and see what they think about the topic and consider the case to be closed. We look at the field, the body, the expertise of lots of people, the entire collective knowledge of the entire field. And they're working on that right now. They are working on life studies. They are working on out the mechanics of the theory of evolution. And the theory of evolution is an absolute fact. We know that it happened. We know that it does happen. It's happening today. And by the way, it's happening today the exact same way that it's always happened. Reproduction with variation. Given time will produce evolution. It's happening now. That's how it always happened. Nothing different happened in the past. And you obstinately not believe that. If you want to bury your head in the sand and pretend it was magic, well, you're welcome to do that, but don't expect too many of us to join you or to think that you're doing something that any of us would consider intelligent or prudent, because you are just burying your head in the sand. You don't want to know reality. Reality contradicts the fables that you really like to believe in. And you have to make a choice in life. Want to come into the pool of reality, or whether you want to stick with Bronze Age and Iron Age fables, no matter how much you like them. I was an adherent to Bronze and Iron Age fables at one point. I kind of liked them. I liked the ideas that they taught, but I had to come to a realization that there was no good reason for me to believe in them, to give them credence. There was no good reason for me to think that people in the Bronze Age knew more about biology, physics, science than the professors, than the doctors, than those who have spent decades working in the field and doing research. Stand on the shoulders of giants. I'm not a scientist. Amy's not a scientist. We don't have scientific degrees. That's not what we are. they are smart enough to look at what they do and the work that they do and the contributions they've made to humanity and recognize that, and to look at the field of biology, look at the field of physics and the developments they've made, and just bask in almost reverent awe at what they've been able to tell us about the natural world and how much more descriptive it is than religion, how much more complete it is than just saying a deity poofed life out of nothing. That's not very scientific. I'm not willing to accept that as science, and neither should you. If that's your position, come on and tell us why you think we should agree with that. Thank
Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much, James.
you. Woohoo!
And with that, we are going to send the link into chat, and I'll send it up on screen while we send everyone a hello and talk about the topic. Hello. But I have a lot of catching up. We're just sending woohoos.
Hey, Megan. God equals square root of -1. That's right. Material stand. And in case you've been living under a rock, in case this is your first time to the channel, in case you've never been here, hey, Dave Gar, I am debating Ken Hovind a week from today on the Standing for Truth channel. The topic is,
that's right.
Is evolution a reasonable scientific theory? I'm, of course, taking the rational, skeptic, reality-based conclusion that it is. Of course, Ken Hovind is taking the position that no, it's not, that creationism is a better explanation for the diversity of life. It will be epic. I hope so, and my absolute best. But check us out that the Standing for Truth, and the after show, by the way, is going to be on the amazing, the wonderful Atheist Junior channel. So be sure to check that out. That will be a blast.
Right.
Thank you, Atheist Junior, who was with us for our last show, looking at a Ken Hovind debate versus Mark Drysdale, which was a good episode, and that was a very good debate versus Mark Drysdale. Of course, he's debated Ken a few times, and he's always landed some knockout punches against Ken. So shout out to Mark. Great job on that debate.
Exactly. Great job, Mark. And that was a funny Ken Hovind debate. I just want to thank Atheist Junior for coming on
bringing that to our attention
and bringing that to our attention.
They all know who Atheist Junior is. He is one of the mere YouTubers in Ken Hovind content. He's probably spent more time than even he cares to admit watching Ken Hovind videos. I don't think anybody knows more about Ken Hovind than
even the Rule 34 versions.
Play Hovind bingo, yeah. I am too. I wonder. I think for that debate, there should be like a shot word where every time Kent says a certain word, I have to take a shot.
That's all, and I always try and play creationist bingo. Anytime they play say the word chance, nothing, just supernatural is clearly a free space. Send in love. I see Top Dog Shaddix talking about his abiogenesis guides over here.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, Megan. He tried to make that debate a little bit.
And also sending love to our entire Twitch community. Woohoo! We are trying to stream multi-platform, and it doesn't matter where you are on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. In fact, I'm going to send that Twitch out there if anyone would like to join streaming on there. But I'm also going to showcase this, and I will pin it.
Do it to me.
We got the StreamYard link in chat, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
So if you are an atheist or specifically a theist, we are really looking for people who
preferably
disagree with us.
Theist.
Come one, come all. Just out of my sheets. Come on, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy. Brian, I would be hammered before 5 minutes every time he refers to evolution as a religion or a belief system. Something
Evolution's
you
a
have to
religion. Yeah,
believe.
that's
Yeah,
another. Bingo.
I better pick something like very low proof if I'll be able to stay awake for that debate.
But he just has talking points in a script.
He's got a script like Darth.
Like Darth.
These professional theists, these professional Christians, typically have a script.
But I mean, we are talking evolution. We are talking
thank you, Pancake.
abiogenesis specifically.
I think if I were shooting zero proof, I would still somehow die of alcohol poisoning if I had to take a shot every time Kent referred to evolution as a religion. But oh, you got another Twitch viewer out there. Hey, I like sending love to the Twitch stream.
Sending love to the Twitch stream. I'm catching up and down. I like to watch too.
Hey, Rachel.
Woo-hoo.
And someone said about dogs producing dogs, which of course is one of Kent's lines. And one thing I'm going to try to throw at him to give a preview for that is did the Greyhound come from a non-Greyhound? Because were there always Greyhounds, Amy? No, there were not always Greyhounds. So somewhere along the line, a dog that was not a Greyhound had to give birth to what? A Greyhound. He's going to say, they're still a dog. It's the same kind. Well, yeah, they're the same kind. What are we talking about? 3,000, 2,000 years. Give that 30,000 years and see what evolution can do. We're only looking at it in the very short scale. Give it 100,000 years, give it 300,000 years, and that same process can take something like that, isolate populations, and you can get speciation to occur, and give it 30 million years, and you can get something that doesn't look anything like its original ancestor. But that happened step by step, where each step along the line, parent and the child look very similar, like they do now, right?
It's almost like we come from natural processes, specifically sex. They always ask, well, where do you think you came from? And then we say our parents, and they're like, how can you say that? Even though that is the logical and biological answer.
Of course, that's where we come from. But beyond that, we come from a long process of what our process survivors. Our ancestors were survivors. That's the one thing you have to give them credit for, because they all lived long enough to reproduce.
And it was harder than the reality TV show.
If they did not live long enough to reproduce, we wouldn't be here.
Yep.
So the ones who did not live long enough to reproduce are not our ancestors.
They died out.
They got
naturally selected.
And that's one thing a lot of the theists, they like to complain about evolution, about natural, that it's a cruel process. Oh, it involves a lot of death. Like, a lot of things have to die so that the few that have the right mutations can live. And like I said before, well, no more than God flooding the entire world.
Yeah, they bring up sad stuff, and they're always like, well, if this is sad, how could it be? It's like, well, people die. What do you have to say about that? I don't know. It's sad. What do you want me to say? That you're going to live another life just because it's super, super, super not happy?
Sad that we all die. Yeah. I mean, I have to tell you something very, very sad. That is, you, everybody watching this podcast, everybody online will die at one point. There will be a time where my heart stops beating and it will not start beating again. I will be dead. And that sucks. I'm hoping that will not be for a long time. But it will inevitably happen. Now, what do we do with that? Do we say, "Oh, well, that sucks. I wish that after I die, I would wake up somewhere else where I would get to live forever"? That's one
Be
approach to it.
nice.
Do you
In
have
fact,
any evidence to believe that?
we've learned that there's only one thing that is unavoidable in life. We used to think it's death and taxes, but thanks to Ken Hovind, we now know it's only death.
They sent me to federal prison for almost 9 years for structuring the dumbest law in the history of the world. Structuring, taking your own money out of your own account, and they sent me to prison for it. And they broke 156 laws to put me in prison. Amy, did you know that? They broke 156 laws, but they don't care about that. They don't care about those laws, but they and the judge, Amy, who sentenced me to prison, said that what I did was worse than rape. Can you believe that, Amy? She
And we
said that.
know how soft that, our system is on religious people, because you definitely can't go into a jail and just say, I found Jesus, and then get a lighter sentence. But
you could never be Gertrude Banishevsky in Indiana, who, if you don't have a caller on, I guess I can go a little bit about this. Gertrude Banishevsky tortured a 15-year-old child to death over a process of almost a year, inflicting countless injuries, beatings, and whatever on her, because she didn't like her. It wasn't her child. She was being paid by the child's parents to watch her because she had other parents, because she had kids, and the parents were migratory workers. They wanted to put their child in a stable environment. And this child died, Sylvia Likens, and at the time, the laws in Indiana were the jury got to assess the sentence at sentencing. The jury recommended a sentence of life imprisonment for Gertrude, and that was in, I think, 1972. So she was sent to prison for life with parole, and I believe that parole period was 15 years. But Amy, she had been drinking when she killed this child, and she found Jesus in jail. Did you know? She found Jesus in jail.
Was he hiding under the bed?
She found Jesus in jail, and
maybe in the locker room or in the cafeteria. He's nimble. He can get all over the place.
So she came up for parole 15 years later, and after this terrible crime, the parole board decided to let her go her very first opportunity before the parole. They stamped that, and they let her go because she found Jesus.
Because religion.
Because she found Jesus, Amy, and she was drinking at the time. Now, how many people in the United States of America drink alcohol or use other drugs and manage not to torture children to death? That's not a drug problem or drinking problem. That's a you problem if you decide to systematically torture a child to death. But Jesus can forgive you, so Jesus can forgive you, so shouldn't we forgive you, right?
Exactly. He forgives all, even the terrible, horrible things that you've done, and, don't have to go to the person that you've done them to and ask for forgiveness. Screw that person. Let's, make a deal with the big guy.
He says it's okay if I say I'm really, really, really sorry.
But James, only if you mean it. Can't cheat the system with this loophole that we are.
Right. You have to really mean it. You have to really mean it.
Super mean it.
You have to really want to worship God forever. If you don't want to do that, well, then, if you don't make him your Lord and Savior, then
such a creepy sentence. They cannot appreciate how creepy. I understand. Yes, Lord and Savior. Like, that is the typical.
They think it's beautiful.
It's cult lingo. Like, I understand the C word is very triggering. Exactly. They think, oh my God, just like they think it's beautiful when they turn to Jesus and they say, what does it take to follow me? And he says, well, sell all your belongings, leave your family, and follow me. They're like, oh, how beautiful it is. Isn't that wise? No, that's not good planning. Please don't do that. Do not just follow a random guy that you found preaching on the street and just sell all your belongings.
But I decided to have faith in him. Exactly. I arbitrarily decided to have faith in him just because I just did. I mean.
And also, so we are calling me skeptical. We're going to keep on talking about the subject. I mean,
we're just going to keep bullshit unless one of you guys comes
specifically, I think, know where life came from, which is through natural means. We don't have as good of a...
I bet that's true, Pat. I bet that's true.
It's not as strong as a theory as evolution, which is a fact. Evolution is an observed fact.
It's reality.
And so
it's
just reality. Exactly. So when we're talking about abiogenesis, we are going significantly further back in time because evolution happens now. If you, whatever you care about vaccines, if you believe COVID exists, then you believe in evolution because that was a mutation from a less deadlier virus.
It's still a virus, Amy. Okay. Of course it's still a virus. Evolution doesn't say that. Yeah, I see we got a caller.
So we got our first caller. I do want to say, just before we go on, that I will continue. I love going on Dawa channels. I actually love
going guilty pleasure.
It is. I want to go on apologist channels as well. I need to find some that really, because it's hard to go on something like a Darth because he's just such an asshole that it's hard to even have a good conversation with someone.
Or he's just going to cut you off and insult you and curse at you and shout you down.
But I have enjoyed going on the Dawa channels, and I think I'll continue to, I like batting down deistic arguments because I think deism is silly. So
it is silly.
You still don't have evidence for it. I'm glad that you aren't going to hurt anybody, just like our founding fathers were scientist-minded people and deists.
You made your claims so vague and nebulous that you can never tie them down to disprove them because they'll just morph and switch. But it is still silly.
It is still silly. And all right. I think I saw him. Oh, sending love, Pat.
And we got Pat out there. Pat said if you had $1 for everybody that was arrested that turned to God or religion at that point, then he'd be living in the Hamptons, which is definitely true.
Yeah. And we will continue to read your comments if you tag James W. and myself at Amy Newman. And just sending love to Pat in general and all of you out there in the internet sphere.
Love you, Pat.
But we are going to go to our first call. I saw it getting spicy in chat. I feel like he wants to. I'm excited. Maybe it will be Dune. He who commands the spice, I will say, controls the universe. Nonetheless,
long time ago,
going to go.
Galaxy far, far away.
You talking the Bible? No.
Yeah.
We are going into our first call. We have Bubblegum Gun joining us. We are calling me skeptical.
Right. Take another shot, Amy.
Did life arise? I know. And also, what is up, Bubble?
Bubblegum Gun.
I hope
Welcome
you are
back.
doing well. And, we're talking what I hear, from what I believe you tell us is a subject that's near and dear to your heart. We're talking the origin of life. How did it arise? I can't believe you would say something so daring and yet so bold. Not even sure if the TS.
He's really bringing the heavy guns tonight. Yeah. Where's Gizmo when we need him?
But Bubble may just be adjusting his audio. Happens to
his
me.
system
Normally
might not be.
So
At least,
as much as we could tease him. But we'll read up. Assembly of God says Muslims also claim they know how life
invite them.
arose. You should invite Muslims to join the show as well.
They're invited.
I will say we love all flavors.
Testing.
Atheism. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we got a Bubble. What is up, Bubble? How are you doing
Don't
tonight?
Shoot. Hey, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can.
All right, good. Hey, you guys talking about? Well, I was triggered in the chat. I was going to come in, but one of you said evolution is a fact. It is not.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was triggered.
You triggered him, Amy. You triggered him.
Don't get it. It's simple. Okay, we have never observed the gaining of information, correct?
No.
Wrong.
But then it is not a fact, and you got to stop saying it's a fact.
But since we have observed the gaining of new information, what would your point? What would your point be?
If we have observed the gaining of it, which we have.
No, since we have.
Since when? When have we observed this?
So, for example, when the strain of COVID, when it mutated from just being able to interact with bats, and then it became able to interact with humans, what do you think happened?
Oh, you think it evolved randomly and evolved in a lab in China, right? You think that it just evolved randomly? It had nothing to do with a gain of information project that
I'm not sure, but I will just say
no, it's relevant. It's relevant.
Like
how it evolved is irrelevant.
When you said, do you
wait. How it evolved is irrelevant. When
whether it's in a lab or whether it
notice that statement builds into the fact that evolution is true. So if you're saying that it evolved in a lab, you're saying it evolved in a lab.
No, I'm using that as satirical. I'm being ironic.
Oh, okay. So you don't think? Okay, so how do you think COVID came about?
Yeah, when somebody copy pastes information from one organism to another, that's not evolving. That's copy pasting. That's making something. When you copy paste your homework, you're not doing your homework.
It's different though. If it was
the same, not evolution.
This breaks down even an analogy. If I were to copy and paste code from a program, and then I were to add data to the original code, there's new data. Like Bubble.
Oh, are you seriously being like so deceitful right now?
No, I don't think I am.
Somebody making this in a lab, copy pasting it intentionally, which uses a mind. It is not the same as the evolution which you are proposing, and to try to justify that, it's very bad faith.
Well,
we're using the same mechanisms that happen out in the wild. We're just doing it in a lab, but if it didn't work, it wouldn't work in a lab.
If it happened in a lab,
wait. You just admitted to God. You just admitted to God then.
Like,
what do you mean?
God, where?
Okay,
God did not create dogs.
Okay, you just said. You're saying we're just observing what we can do in the lab happen out in the wild. Okay, who was that person? Who was that scientist using that lab in the wild? Hey, God, right? Unless you want to say aliens. You can say aliens, but I'm saying God.
No aliens.
You asking who created gods or who created humans?
Okay,
or who created life?
No, James just said that nature has its own lab with its own scientists. And I'm asking James.
I didn't say scientists. We're doing in a lab what happens in nature.
Are there scientists in a lab, James? Are there scientists in a lab?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, do you think the beakers and all that sciencey stuff gets moved around randomly, or is a scientist behind that?
In the lab, there's a scientist doing it, yeah.
Of course, my point. So you agree with me?
Not at all, no.
Okay.
These things happen on their own in nature, but we're trying to replicate that or to maybe accelerate that in a lab, like the creation of dogs from wolves, from Asiatic wolves. You agree that happened, right? From human intervention in their breeding process?
Wait, do you think I'm a Christian who thinks wolf came from Chihuahua came from a wolf?
Do you accept that Chihuahuas, that dogs came from Asiatic wolves?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
Preposterous.
I mean that's been verified. That's how we actually understand how that was done through
Wait, you think
selective breeding.
you think you can turn a wolf into a Chihuahua?
Oh, it happened.
Wait,
That's
if it can happen,
demonstrably part of reality.
okay, if it can happen, it should be replicatable. You think you can replicate this?
It could be replicatable if you would do all the steps. It would take hundreds of generations to do that, but yeah, you could do
Well,
that.
that's just an argument. That's using the time with the gaps argument. You're not like, oh, with enough time.
Things don't happen overnight. Things don't happen in a human lifetime. I'm sorry that the scale of the universe is much greater than a human lifetime, and we can't observe things like that.
Here's one thing evolutionists get wrong about evolution.
Biology.
Time isn't an actual ingredient in evolution. It's just generation. So it's not real. It's not literally time like on a clock. It's generational based.
Sure.
So with enough generations, you as an active person try to reduce a coyote into a chihuahua. You think you can do that?
Not in the lifetime of a human being, but it could be done.
A few lifetimes of a human being.
Yeah.
Pretty rapidly, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
within
we can turn dogs
200 years.
Within 200 years.
Can I ask you something? Why is it when we look at a wolf skeleton and a chihuahua skeleton, except for size, they're nearly identical?
That's like saying, why does like two different cars both have 4 tires?
No,
I
cars
could probably
are
answer
made.
that.
They're not biological. They're human creations, though. You can't compare the two. Something that nature created versus something that we know people create.
Sorry, can you repeat that again? I wasn't able to hear that.
I said you can't compare something that we know that humans create to something that nature created, and nobody says cars evolved. They're not biological organisms, so the fact that they look similar, of course, that's designed because we know that people design them. We don't know.
Let me reply to that.
Go ahead.
So you're saying you can't see car evolution because they're not organic, basically. Okay, where did life come from? Non-organic, right?
Yes, which is what both.
So there
should be right?
There is no difference then. There should be no difference.
Theists and atheists both agree on, right?
Well, no, I'm saying my argument is completely legitimate because you agree that life came from non-life and a car is non-life.
At some point, yes.
Which is what everyone agrees with, right? Everyone agrees life came from non-life.
There was no biological life. How did that arise? Magic or natural process? Those are the two options. That's it. You say magic, we say natural process.
Well, we gotta in your natural process, like which natural process? You don't have a natural process by which this has arised. Even Gutsy Gibbon will admit God did it, and then
she does not think
Gibbon is an atheist. She does not. She
does not think God did it.
She doesn't. She doesn't debate abiogenesis. She'll say like
because we can't conclusively prove that yet. We don't have an exact theory for abiogenesis yet.
And she's a primatologist. So once you become specialized
evolutionary biologist,
she's an observational scientist. She just looks at things and draws conclusions.
She is either or training to be a primatologist. And so because she has so much expertise, she stays very specific into what I would say is evolution. In fact,
particularly
the theme
human
of
primate
today's
evolution
podcast is abiogenesis, which is between maybe a hypothesis and a theory. They are trying to figure out how to emulate early Earth. And yet I would say the vast majority, in fact, all points to a natural process. I don't even know any type of test that anyone not natural would be able to put forward or what kind of way to collect data. I mean, Bubble, how do you
Pretty much
believe
pancake,
that
pretty much.
life came from non-life?
Well, God is not non-life.
Well, but he had to make it out of something, and that something was non-life, right? There was something non-living.
Well,
and then there was something-
the material things isn't just alone. That's like saying a robot without energy. Just because you have the robot doesn't mean you have the energy there to get it moving. So you got to ask yourself, where is this energy coming from?
The sun.
but-
It came from the sun.
Yeah, exactly. Our life came from
And
the sun.
where did the sun get its energy from?
The death of another
Using,
star.
well,
The
yeah,
death of
that's,
another sun.
Yes, specifically another sun, a first generation sun,
second.
or first or
Our
second.
sun is a
generation,
third
exactly.
generation.
Is
Yeah,
a
our
third
sun is
but
third generation stuff.
But generally speaking, I assume you can get the heavier elements if there's a one, so 1 or 2 generation stars.
Well, let's get back to your process. What
I still want to
process?
know how God does this.
Well, that's absurd. That's like we can't even replicate what he's done. We can't make life from scratch in a lab. Why on earth would I know that?
Well, because one day we will, and then we're going to understand the naturalistic process fully of how life came about.
How much
And then
intelligence? How much
and then you'll
intelligence
just
do you
say,
think would
"Oh,
be required?"
that took intelligence to do it, so therefore it
No,
requires intelligence, right? Right,
no,
Bubble?
I don't think you'll be able to do it ever. But
I find
you-
that claim to be silly.
no, you can find out how he might have done it, but you will not be able to replicate it because you wouldn't have the power to do it.
I find that,
And when we do, will
I
you
find
give up?
that akin to we will never be able to fly.
Yeah,
We will
Lord,
never
tell
be
them.
able to land on the moon. We will never. There's nothing supernatural about life.
No, that's like what I'm saying is like we can know how like let's say there's somebody with like telekinesis, hypothetical, okay? Hypothetical.
How would you define telekinesis in this example?
It doesn't matter. This is hypothetical, Amy. Let's just say he has.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're not defining your terms.
Like, moving things with our mind.
Okay, the ability to move objects with your mind. Okay.
Define someone can move things with their mind. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not relevant. It's not relevant to my point. Okay, someday we might figure out how let's say he exists, and we find out like what's happening, like at a physical down like physics level, but we would never be able to replicate it. Let's say.
Have you ever heard of someone named Elon Musk? Because he is trying to put chips in our brain, which probably will end up being the future, to where I can imagine a system where you could get something to pick things up and get it to bring it to you.
Self-driving cars.
It's science
Self-driving
fiction,
cars.
but nonetheless, I feel like it is more in the realms than.
That's just hypothetical. I'm just trying to explain
I'd
why we might know how it might work, but we will not be able to replicate.
I mean, I think we're going to also be able to replicate.
If we knew how, then we would be able to replicate it, right? Because once we know how, then it leaves the supernatural realm and it comes into the natural world, and that is stuff that we know how to deal with, right?
No, because if part of the process of the replication is having the power of God, then it's out of our hands.
Yeah, then we would never be able to understand how if we understood how something happened, I think we would. You could say, "Oh, it requires so much energy. We would never be able to get that much energy," but that would be the only limiting factor, I think.
You would either get the power of God, and that's only God has that.
And can we go back to that? Because that's how you think life arises. So you said God did it. How? How did God do it?
Again, I wouldn't know. That's like not even scientists can replicate it, so they don't even know themselves.
What if I were to come to you and said evolution happened? We don't know how, but we just know it. We just know it.
Well, that's an argument from incredulity, and we know plenty of information. No,
That's the
Bubble,
same
you
thing
I'm
you're
not,
get it.
doing, Bubble.
You get it. Now
no,
you get it. Your
no, I'm
claim
not
is
done.
from
I'm not done.
incredulity.
No, I'm not done. Because all the evidence points against evolution, while all the evidence for the God theory.
All the evidence points against evolution. So
Wait.
all the professors, all the biologists, they're all dumb. They don't know what they're talking about. And these
James,
people
do
who
I have-
wrote these
do I have
books
to
in the
re-
Bronze Age got it right. I mean, what are you saying?
James, do I have to repeat myself? Have we ever observed the gaining of information? No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Where? When?
And it is
replicated.
very weird. So it's just because all of the empirical evidence leads towards evolution being a fact of nature, I don't understand how you can make those claims. So when I ask how, and you
It's
say
not a
that
fact-
you
it's not
don't
a fact
have
of
any
nature.
evidence, that worries
Is-
me.
I
Is
do
the
have
creation of
evidence. And
is
you
the
don't.
creation is the creation of a feather information? Could you create a feather? Would that be information?
The feather itself is not information.
So
Wait, I'm not done. Did it
Go ahead.
require information to make a feather? Yes.
okay. So if we can look in the point and we can look back in time and we see where there was no feathers in the fossil record, none, no feathers, and all of a sudden we do have feathers, that information had to come from somewhere. Now, we're saying it happened from evolution. You're saying, oh no, at one point God just decided, oh, I think these dinosaurs would look nice with feathers, so poof, and they grew feathers. Is that really what you're saying?
Hey, do you change your tires on your car?
I don't. Of course.
Then yes, God can come in and say, I'm gonna make a new creation.
Okay, so at that point, you could just do whatever you want. God can just do magic at any time, and there you go. Poof. He just
So
creates
and
new things all the time.
And I still want to know, Bubble, how your God does anything. Like you say, or you say that there's no evidence for evolution. So what is the evidence against evolution? Like, do you have papers? Do you have actual mainstream scientists that are coming forward presenting a model? Do you have a model?
Well, I have a model, but yes, there are mainstream scientists that are coming out now, because it's been shunned for like during the 90s and 70s. It's not until recently
That's right, Bird.
It's not until recently that we're really getting to know how important the DNA is. I mean, you only found out about the DNA in the 50s, and that's kind of primitive. It's the beginning. During the 70s, evolution.
Talk to us about DNA.
Well, but so evidence for maybe God creating life?
Yep. Are you here?
Are you here? I am. I'm here, and one of the two of us is queer.
Okay.
Three of us, maybe. Who knows?
You're here. Evolution is false. What other alternatives are there?
What alternatives are to a fact of nature? I don't know. I guess we could deny the fact of nature, but we would
What's the fact of
have
nature?
good reason. Evolution. So genes do randomly mutate, and the environment.
No, mutation is not evolution. Mutation is errors of the code. You get stop saying errors is progress. Errors is you get a F with errors. You don't get.
It's not an error. It's new information. Do you have kids, Bubble?
Wait, you think errors are new information? Do you think
it's not an error? It's not an error. It's new information.
Single point mutations is not new information.
Do you have kids?
Change is not evolution. No, I don't.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
Okay,
have kids.
well, if you do have kids one day, I can promise you they will not be either an exact copy of you or an exact copy of your wife or your girlfriend or whoever you're with. And that fact alone, the fact that reproduction with variation, that's new information, because the child that you have, there will never have been anyone who ever lived that will have their exact DNA. You could go a million years, there would never be someone else that would have that exact same DNA. That's new information. Like it or not, that is new. That is a new human being, new information. And when we subject that to natural selection picks some to reproduce and some not to reproduce. That's all that the process is. You give that and time and you will have evolution. Like it or not, that's it.
Change is not evolution. To say any sort of change is deceitful.
Bubble.
It is bad faith.
That is evolution.
No, that is you're not even understanding your own theory. To say change is evolution.
It's not our theory. It's the predominant theory in science.
The predominant theory doesn't matter. To say change, therefore evolution, it's just such like
evolution is a change in allelic frequency among reproductive population. That is what evolution literally is.
So I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second. I'm sending love to both Randolph Richardson and also Carol, the 406 atheist, who says, I wish to listen to a lot of your content, especially open mics, but first time in the chat. Love you.
Thank you,
James
Carol.
Love you, and wanted to say hi and thank you. Sending love, Carol. And welcome to everyone out there in chat. We are calling me skeptical on how did life arise, which is what I'm going to send right back to you, Bubble. Help me out here. How did life arise? Please don't just tell me God. That is just, what is the process that God did it?
That's absurd. You guys, even evolutionists don't know their own process.
Okay, what is the process by which life arose? Do you just don't think there is any? Do you just say this is God?
For me to know that would require me
That's what she's asking
tremendous coding, like language, like godlike coding education.
So then are you coming on here to just say you don't know how life came and neither do I? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying,
do you know how life came about? Are you claiming to not have knowledge?
No, because you're asking me, how do I know how humans were programmed? That's absurd.
I could explain.
I don't think that's absurd. I think that's,
why? I could explain it for an artificial language. I could explain how we
can
how
do you know? How do you know?
Languages.
James, do you know the entire programming in your computer right now? You know how to program your entire OS?
No, I'm asking, how do you know it's programmed?
You're asking me to answer that. Like, can you tell me all the programming?
How do you know that it is programmed?
Because the human code is a code. I mean, the DNA is a genetic code.
DNA is a chemical. It's a chemical, not a code. It's a chemical.
It's a chemical. It's such a childish point. That's like
that's reality. That's physics. It's what it is. It is a chemical. What is it? It is a
DNA. Is a chemical. Is a childish understanding of DNA. That's like saying that the code in my computer is just electricity.
It's binary code. DNA is
you're saying the coding in my computer is just AC electricity.
DNA, that's what it is.
But see, that's how absurd you're. Like, this is such a childish understanding of
Bubble,
DNA.
if someone asked how computers are made and they said humans, and they said, and I said, no, how do you make a computer? And they said, no, it's just too mysterious of a process. We can't possibly know how computers are made. Would you then believe that? Should you believe that person? I would say the answer is no. They should be able to show you how a computer is made.
Has anybody reproduced a human from scratch? Of course not, right? Why
no. But I think that not only that time is coming, but when I think that time will come one day, you're just going to then say, well, that is how that's how God did it. He did it exactly how the humans did it, just like they did in the lab. It's like, but
no, because you're saying we don't have the knowledge to produce a human, and so you're saying we require even more and more knowledge. So you're talking about godlike knowledge.
It's not godlike.
It's godlike knowledge. To be able to reproduce a human, not only the humans, but the environment which can host that human. So you require not only the software, but the system that's able to run that software.
It's godlike only because you think that God's created humans, but because we are atheists and don't think that God created humans, it's just humans keep on doing human shit. It's the tool makers creating more tools.
Yeah, but you don't have any evidence for your process.
We will literally have a physical process. You do not have any evidence for the God process. Literally, you don't have any.
I do.
When I ask, you say that it's too difficult, too mysterious.
Your evidence is that we're here. Our evidence is that we're here.
What is the evidence, and so what's the process that God does it, and what evidence do you have for that?
Well, the evidence we do, the reason God does it is because God exists. Well,
that is your claim. And that's not even the claim. We're not even asking how God. We want to know how he does it. Like, once you're
asking something absurd again. Again, you keep asking something.
Bubble, if you're a Poe, I just got to say, you're doing a great job.
You're making an absurd request. How did evolution do it? You can't answer it. How did evolution do it? How did life start from non-life?
That is an evolution. That is a biogenesis.
It doesn't matter.
It does. It does matter.
It does.
No, it's just a question of you not being able to. I'm using the same logic against you.
You're conflating evolution, abiogenesis.
No,
the theory of evolution stands alone.
Yeah,
it stands alone.
Look, if you want to appeal to God, did abiogenesis, whatever. I'm just talking as this is just.
There are theistic evolutionists, right?
Yeah, I'm just using your argument against you. Like, you don't know how God did it. Well, okay, do you know how random chemicals did it?
You talking about a biogenesis, or are you talking about evolution? We know how evolution works. A biogenesis, no. We don't know exactly how the chemicals came together to make life. We don't know that. Okay, but we do know that life is here. We do know that there's no evidence for any type of supernaturalism anywhere, literally anywhere. And we do know that natural processes have explained everything that we've ever found an answer for, literally anywhere, including diversity of life, has all been explained through. Well, you can stick your head in the sand and you can pretend that it hasn't.
Provide an example of an organism gaining information.
I just provide the process. Feathers is a gain of information.
Having webbed toes and webbed feet.
Wait, has this been observed? Have you seen a frog grow feathers?
They have seen alligator skin that was in the lab was mutated to be able to make proto feathers or feather-like structures. Because
feather-like structures is not feathers.
Right, you're not going to see evolution happen that fucking fast, Bubble.
Bubble, why
doesn't happen that quick?
When we look at a chimpanzee skeleton and we look at our skeleton, why does it look so freaking similar? Why does it look almost exactly like ours?
When people build cars, why do they all look the same?
I know, Bubble. I know, Bird.
When people build cars, why do they all look the same? Because they come from, generally speaking, models before them, but they don't all look the same. That's why we have motorcycles. That's why we have tricycles. That's why we have some cars that have manuals. Some
have birds.
We are dealing with someone here, Amy, who doesn't understand dog evolution.
My question again:
is demonstrable.
Why is it that chimpanzees specifically look so much like us and that many other animals look radically different than us?
Just because something looks the same doesn't mean they will come from one another. You're just drawing a conclusion. This is what God's given does as their job. She looks at two things like, they're the same. They must come from the same origin.
You don't also think that the fact that they also pass the mirror test and tend to be introspective, that they tend to be in social groups, that they tend to do many of the things that we share as
human-like behaviors.
Just a coincidence that they also.
Why is it that that's like saying why is it that why is it that tigers and cheetahs both run after their prey? It's like that's
because they're predatory animals.
They both need to eat.
Yes, and they
Yes,
actually,
it deals with their design.
once again, that is just an assertion.
They would need to eat whether they were designed or not designed, right?
And all right, we're gonna go for about, I think, 5 more
A
minutes,
few more
Bubble,
minutes.
and then we're gonna get someone.
I mean-
and we do thank you for coming on, like always. We like it when people disagree with us, but
Yeah, I like
At the end of the day, Bubble, it's just, oh, God decided to make things that look sort of like humans but not humans, and those are chimpanzees. He would just like copy and paste 99% of chimpanzee DNA and just make a few changes and then make humans. It's silly to think that a God would do something so stupid. And at least in the Christian theology, we're supposed to be made in God's image, and that God, to make his masterpiece, his pinnacle of creation, that he would take like 98% chimpanzee DNA and just copy and paste that, just make a few changes here and there to make humans, is just ridiculous.
How would you make the human?
I wouldn't make humans.
well, and
I'm not claiming to be a god.
The
and if
human is
I
perfect.
was creating a human, I would first make it so that the air and swallowing pipe were different, because right now you can eat something and die. So just having those two differently.
And also, Amy,
no, that would be a bad flow design. When you do designing, you want to use less materials possible.
Oh, so you'd make it so people can die by choking.
Something. We will agree on there, in that I think that simplicity is the hallmark of design and not complexity. Nonetheless, you could still make a simple mechanism by which one, in fact, I would almost say you're making things overly complex when you have.
Because he did that with the chicken's vagina and butthole, which is kind of fucking great.
I don't even know what sentence you just said, but I want to thank you for saying it.
You got to be a little excited that
they're one, apparently.
Also, another question, just once again, why does it look like chickens and dinosaurs have such similar skeletal systems?
Oh, God just designed chickens like dinosaurs, Amy.
No, it's just designed. Like, why would you okay? It's like saying, why wouldn't God just make like a absolutely cute pig, like a pig that was?
I honestly don't know why God would make any animal. I have no idea. It seems really silly.
I'm making the point, like it would be really silly for God to make a pig that was like absolutely cubed, and they had like bacon for brains.
What? I think pigs are cute. And bacon is its muscles. I'm very confused, but that's okay. Pat is saying this is the case with domesticated horses. We see the effects of thousands of years of selective breeding techniques resulting in forced genetic shift. I agree, Gizmo.
Yeah, he agrees. Thank you, Pat.
Yes, mixing horses exists.
But okay, you're saying that basically, I hate to say you're throwing your hands up, but how are you not throwing your hands up when you're saying we can never find? Scientists are working day in and day out trying to replicate not only what happened in the early planetary conditions, but to one day, in my opinion, they will make synthetic life. And so when that happens, are we just going to deny that it's life, or are we just going to say
it took intelligence, so therefore we still need God? Or?
No, I'm sure mankind would never be able to make a human.
I feel.
And when we do that, Bubba, will you be able to come on this podcast?
Yes. Will you become an atheist at that point?
You were wrong, and that life had no. There is no God.
Yes, when you can finally make a mankind from scratch. Then,
when we can create synthetic life in the lab, don't say, "Oh, make a whole."
No, because you can make artificial life already. So that wouldn't.
Okay, so you're just saying, it'll never be able to be proven to your satisfaction. You just want to believe what you want to believe because that's what you want to believe, and therefore
I already said if you can make life from scratch, I'll agree with you.
Life.
What do you
from
mean scratch?
What do you mean?
Did life not come from scratch in your theory?
No.
Wait,
It
what?
came
No.
from
No, there's a difference from
organic
nothing
chemicals.
and inorganic life.
Inorganic.
Inorganic compounds, yes.
The inorganic compounds made organic compounds, and those organic compounds eventually.
I'm talking the chemicals. Just your chemicals.
Okay,
your chemicals.
life
Yes,
from
life
chemicals.
came
When
from
we can do
chemicals,
that,
yes.
make life from chemicals in a lab, you'll become.
Just using chemicals and nothing less. Nothing like I used, like, for example, there's people who claim they created life, but all they did was use like a yeast cell, and then like manipulate the yeast cell by putting code inside the yeast cell.
Okay, how about if we're able to do it with a silicone-based chemical life form?
That's just a robot. Yeah, that's just a robot. So
Okay.
that's why I said artificial life wouldn't count, because I know.
Why does first of all, artificial life not counting as a very
Because
silly?
that's a robot.
So we are just chemical robots.
Well, just do a chemical human. Just do a human using just beakers in the lab, and then we can. Then I'll agree with you.
Well, it won't be
think
humans. That would take
that's very
millions of years, but it
not
would
only
be
a silly standard, but how I feel like I'm going to hold the exact same standard to God. The moment that we can put God in the lab and we're able to demonstrate that he, she, or they exist, that is the moment that I'm going to believe.
And that's what they always say. Oh, if God appeared, you would want to put him in a lab and poke him. And I say, absolutely yes. Amy would put him in a lab and want to poke him. And where she would want to poke him, you can use your imagination to figure that out.
Hey, Amy, does the bacteria put the scientist inside the beaker, or does the scientist put the bacteria inside the beaker?
I would say that the scientist put bacteria in the beaker because scientists are a multicellular organism.
Let her finish.
The only branch of life that we know of that can put, in fact, the only multicellular, because fungi and plants, the other complex multicellular organisms also can't put themselves into the beaker.
Do you think you could put does humans put God inside the beaker, or does God put humans inside the beaker?
I think that if God existed, we would be able to put him inside the beaker, and I think that the fact that we
can the bacteria put the scientist inside the beaker?
If there is a sentient bacteria, then I guess they can. If they develop the ability to then manipulate and have
COVID-19. Let's say COVID-19.
But
let's say COVID-19 evolves sentience.
As it is. COVID-19 as it is.
Okay. Once again,
it's a fucking virus.
It's a virus.
Does COVID-19 put people inside the beaker? The beaker. No, of course not, right?
No, only animals. Once again,
you're talking about animals. A God who gave us the ability to think introspectively and to think. No.
You can't put God inside the lab. It's absurd to think you can put.
You're talking about a God who gave us the ability to think analytically and critically, and yeah, if He gave us that ability and we think critically and we say we're not going to believe in something without evidence, and He wanted us to believe in Him, then He could give us that evidence, right? He could do that.
I'm saying to say we can put God in the lab is absurd. As saying COVID can put.
Is God everywhere? Is God everywhere? Just yes or no.
Sure. Yes.
Then He could be in a fucking
lab.
lab.
Anything that they want in the physical world?
Come again?
Can God do anything they want in the physical world?
I don't know. Sure.
You don't know.
Yes.
Sure. So sure is yes. Yes.
Yeah, let's go with yes.
Okay. Does a beaker exist in the physical world?
Yes.
Okay, so knowing that God is everywhere and that they can be manipulated in the physical world and that a beaker exists in the physical world, we can't exist that God should be able to be inside the beaker, right?
No, God cannot be manipulated by the physical world.
God
can manipulate the physical world.
But we just can't see it.
But if he wanted to be manipulated,
He's shy,
could he
he's
be?
coy.
Or he wouldn't be able to be?
Again,
Or
this
he,
is absurd as saying COVID can manipulate the scientists inside a beaker.
No, it's not, because we are not gods, and you are saying we are gods.
No, you're saying God is a bacteria. If you think you can put God inside a beaker,
No, I'm saying God is everywhere, can interact in the physical world, and because the beaker is in the physical world, his failure to do anything like go inside a beaker means that he either doesn't exist or can't interact in the physical world.
Unwillingness.
Something being part of God doesn't mean it's God. Like, for example, like a toaster might be part of God, but it's not God.
Okay, so he could, but he doesn't want to. He's hiding himself. He doesn't want us to know that he's real. There you go.
And okay, Bubbles, we're going to let you have your last word, and then please do tell us when you are done. But we have been calling me skeptical. We do thank you very much. You know what? We love it when theists, especially when people that disagree with us,
it's been a nice
on.
back and forth. It's been a rousing battle.
So how did life arise? Last word, and then please tell us.
Life was created. That's all the evidence leads to. This paranormal activity that's done and set forth. Everything points to God. Everything is evidence of God, and basically that's it. I am looking forward to James's debate with Kent, right?
Oh, Ken Hovind next Friday, Bubble. You better be watching that, and watching the Atheist Junior After Show.
Yeah, cool. I think you might take the win. I think you guys.
LPP will probably have the Christian After Show. You might be more at home on that channel. Yeah, he probably will. He's been doing a lot lately. Yeah, as I saw you on there last week.
Yeah, you should came in. I saw you.
Oh my!
We were doing a show. I can't skip our show to go mess with LPP. As fun as that would be.
But we do want to go on more apologetic streams. I know that. Just like I've been going on Dawa streams.
Amy is just dying to come in LPP.
That's right, baby. But thank you so very much, Bubbles.
Thanks, Bubble.
It was lovely chat and having the back and forth.
Later, good stuff.
Come back anytime. Call first.
And all right, just check it up on comments. We got 3 people already queued up, and we are gonna get them up here to have some fun. Randolph says, "Is that beaker made from an iron chariot? Is that why God can't be inside of it?"
Must be.
Yeah,
must be Randolph.
I mean, I just always find God can never interact. Well, I mean, he says they can interact, but then he's shy.
He's shy. He doesn't want to.
Humans can actually, Brian Stevens says, humans can actually test other human beings. Sentient beings can test other sentient beings. Exactly.
I don't know. Can you poke another human in a beaker?
Oh my, I think I can. And we are literally the only ones that can. I want to keep on reiterating that we are apparently the only beings. But we are sending love to everyone
ones we have evidence
there.
for.
I know. The platypus. That right there is not intelligently designed. Though they're so adorable, and they have poison on their webbing and such.
They have venomous spur on the back of their foot.
Exactly. That's right.
Not a crocoduck, but it's the closest thing you could ever get to a crocoduck.
And all right, we're going right down the line. We are calling me skeptical on how did life arise. We got Jen, and we are bringing in more fun.
Jen, I want to thank you for making it through that little thing we had going on there with Bubble, but we're glad that you did.
Exactly. We're glad you waited with us. We are calling me skeptical on
it was hard, but we got through it.
That's
we got through it together. We got through it together.
But we hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts?
Hi, Amy. Hi, James.
Good to have you on, Jen. How are you doing?
Oh, it's great to be here. I'm okay. Whoops.
Did it again?
I was a little, honestly, I wish Bubbles was making a little bit of better arguments. It seemed
It
it seemed to
happens.
be lacking something, and I myself have debated. I took the anti-evolution position, but it was sort of riddled with problems because the person I was
That
debating
was
against.
Dr. Sai, right?
That's right. I mean, he's sort
I
of
remember
like,
that debate. He agreed with you on a lot of things, right?
well, I just like had this creeping dread of guilt of like, this isn't a debate, at some point. So,
It was a good discussion you had with Dr.
Exactly.
Sai, and I remember watching that. And a debate doesn't have to be like a blood sport, like two people going in a ring trying to beat the crap out of each other. It can be a productive discussion about the topic, and that's what that was. So.
yeah, I guess I like to joke around sometimes, but honestly, like the evolution thing, I just want to like promote education really, and it's one of those questions like it's a bit of a mess. Like there's abiogenesis, there's the Punnett squares microevolution thing that's really well substantiated, and then there's like the macroevolution thing, and so all those things together just sort of makes it easy to talk past each other. And when you bring in these ideas about God, it's just like I think it's I mean maybe
Complicated.
sometimes there's a rhetorical point to it, but almost never
Maybe.
does it change a mind. And I almost wouldn't insult, like I not even almost, like I don't want to insult your intelligence by arguing for God in the evolution process, because I think that God is a conclusion of reasoning, not a supposition.
I
And if you don't
appreciate you for not pre-assuming God.
if you don't come to that conclusion that the beauty in nature is God, then it's like, all right.
Well,
That doesn't change much for me. It
there.
doesn't change anything. I'm just happy to come on the show and say, hey.
Well, I don't want to strawman your position. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but a lot of your theology is, in a way, sort of saying people like a God, so look at the universe. The universe kind of is God, but I know it's a lot more than that, so I don't want to. That's not strawmanning your views.
Well, I have my public views and my own personal views.
Okay. Your
Public
official position.
My official position is that it's a mnemonic device. To consider the universe as God is a mnemonic device that I find useful, and I hope other people feel the same way. And if they don't, and they find other mnemonic devices useful, cool. If they don't use mnemonic devices, I would like to know how they remember things.
And I do have to interrupt just to say this is the lovely Jen of Church of Entropy. If you'd love to go check her out, she runs her own streams.
She's got a stream coming up tomorrow, as she always does on Sunday, the Week in Review with Dovin.
Dovin's an awesome guy.
Thank you.
You have
so
that
much
stream coming up tomorrow, right, Jen?
Yeah, the usual.
Because I know you said at one point you were thinking about stopping doing that series, and I kind of got sad at that. But I'm glad to see you've been continuing on with that, because I always do get to pop in there for at least a few minutes. I am usually at work, but I always stop in for a minute. Usually not as me, but as one of my alternate personas. You might know him, Harry. He's out there.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for the support. I love these shows, and thanks so much for keeping these combos going. I'm not in a super debatey mood right now, and I'm sure we could find something to disagree about right now.
She's in a fried potatoes mood, which is something we can all agree on. Like, fried potatoes is good.
Okay, I do actually have something I want to talk about, and it's a really really shitty argument. If it's off topic, we don't have to go into it, but it's just like the whole God creating the universe thing.
Cool.
Is there anything in that that's appealing to a non-theist?
I mean,
I guess
Depends
the argument.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
Go
well, I
ahead, Jen.
would just say that my big thing is just with the God being a mind. I have this big.
That's like the Kalam
It is
ontological.
very specifically my pet peeve, just because I think a mind entails very specific things, and I don't think a lot of creationists, especially young Earth creationists, just don't have an appreciation for how much baggage they are dragging along when they're just like, it's a floating mind that especially that wants a personal relationship and all this.
I think you could also call it an agent or something similar. They use a lot of buzzwords that necessary being, agent, mind, any of those like terms that you can kind of wrap up and throw into that mix.
So you already kind of know about this. So can I just read you the syllogism? Because it's like a head spinner.
Oh, I do love a good syllogism.
Fire away.
It's beyond a head scratcher. It's a head spinner where I'm like dizzy when I get done it.
We'll let Gizmo hear it. We'll let the producer hear it. So
okay, so
he's listening.
P1 is if a mind did not cause the universe, then it is eternal. P2, the universe is not eternal. C, a mind caused the universe.
Can you read that one more time? So P1, if a mind
did not cause
the universe,
then it is eternal. I'm sorry, I can't
eternal.
even keep a straight face.
And it
is eternal. See, those could be flipped around so easy. The universe is eternal. That's what she
coming
said.
From you, coming from you, that's a. But we know no irony on this show, folks.
Because you could
irony
go,
is not our forte.
You could easily go if the universe, not have a cause in the universe. If the universe is eternal, that it was caused by a mind. The universe was caused by a mind, therefore it's eternal. You could kind of use any of those languages.
Maybe so,
you have to prove the premises. I don't know how you would prove either of those premises.
Yeah,
because they think you're trolling us, Jen. They think you're trolling us.
I'm repeating something I saw somewhere. I'm actually trying to figure out if it's a troll question, but the level of explanation this person went into.
Well,
to me that it's not a troll question.
I normally present a syllogism to presuppositional apologists that is, if God exists, that then he has a mind.
I think she's a form of a physicist. I'll let her answer that.
Just to be clear, like, I'm sorry, this is not my argument. Like,
it's not her argument. I think she does have a degree in physics. You do have a degree in physics, correct, Jen?
Yes.
She does have a degree in physics. So there.
I feel like if God existed and was a mind that wanted us to have a personal relationship, we would know that he existed. We don't know that he exists, or at least two of us don't know that he doesn't exist, at least. Therefore, God does not exist.
Here's a question. Does that form of the argument, if we took it to be true, does that mean that, like, the universe isn't smaller than God or smaller than this mind? Because it seems like the mind is somehow eternal, but the universe isn't, making the universe smaller.
It would have to be smaller than God, because the universe would come from God.
Unless it's the TARDIS. Then it's bigger on the inside.
I've heard it from God's imagination, I've heard before. That he could
Okay.
imagine a universe and it would just be.
That's fucking brilliant.
Oh, it's amazing, Jen.
The TARDIS thing, that's perfect. Unless we have a
15
violation
feet of brilliance. I'll
of
tell
the
you what.
I mean, that's what it is. It's a violation of the normal laws of space-time. That's what makes that show so awesome.
It's an
Anyway, I'm
aberration.
totally sorry. I feel like we're way off base here and everything, but like honestly, I think evolution is real, but that it operates on a quantum mechanical basis, and that'll
As
be
everything
obvious.
does.
And
I think
then,
go ahead.
oh no, but I'm actually happy to hear that because I feel like we've kind of converged where maybe we used to disagree. Even on that, I think we now agree on. So
Even if we can not hammer out the mechanics of it or the exact mechanisms, but to at least admit that the process is real is a point of agreement. We're getting somewhere.
So I'll try and take it somewhere we may disagree. Who knows? I'll ask again. But how do you think that How do you think that life arose?
Okay, I think everything kind of starts with your basic collision model, which I may or may not have shown on the show. Thank gosh that I have it ready to go this time. My numerous errors have led me to finally get my act together. But basically, you're looking at a
your double helix maracas. No, not that model.
And now wait, so this is explaining.
So basically, you're looking at a three-dimensional lens model of dependence arising between the oceans, the moon, and the Earth. So the argument is basically the Earth used to be bigger. There didn't used to be a moon, but then this giant crystal of frozen water collided with this system, which displaced the moon. And that's why we always see the same face of the moon, basically.
Is it that the normal model of the moon, that the Earth was a flying body and that some other body collided with the Earth and that it ejected material that formed the moon? I think that is the normal cosmological model for the Earth-Moon system.
I believe my model is exceedingly similar. The name escapes me.
Very similar.
Possibly somebody in the audience. There is a mild difference, I think. I don't know that the orthodox model is positing that the oceans collided as
I've never heard it called a crystal, the object that collided with the Earth that caused the. I've heard conspiracy theorists call it other things, but I've never heard it called a crystal.
That is one of my woo-woo trigger words, but
crystal.
I'm with you. I'm trying to.
Otherwise, it looks pretty similar to our model, right?
It's almost the same. I'll have to look it up in a moment, but basically, you're looking at a three-dimensional lens. The atmosphere is a three-dimensional lens, which creates a unique situation of energetic trapping. So you're going to get far more possible states. In thermodynamics, they're called microstates. You're going to get a much larger amount of variation because the variation is a function of energy. And you get more energy within the system because bound to the three-dimensional lens, aka atmosphere. Life is basically an equilibrium, quote, solution to this arising phenomenon, if you will. An inevitability in a perpetually energetic...
Inevitable.
In a system which is perpetually forced towards higher states of energy.
And I will say, what it does sound like you're presenting is a natural model.
Very much, yeah.
So, already you are leagues closer to anything that we've gotten from many creationists who, I mean, not to... sometimes we get the argument a la a book says it, and then sometimes we get, how could we possibly know? At least we have a model before us, and it exists, I
It's
believe, in the natural world.
it's at least somewhat close to what science says, so that's a win.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, science is great. Frankly, I would not have been able to do any of this stuff without science. So
You wouldn't have a degree in physics without science, right?
pretty much, yeah. I mean,
There you go. It's
I
science.
kind of do. I kind of do love science. It's I mean, and I'm sorry that I'm a bit off topic. Oh no, actually, I'm on topic. This is how does life come
Woohoo.
about? I mean, we haven't quite
Well,
got to life, but like, can you see the
we
basic
haven't got the
argument?
life, yeah.
The
No,
basic
not.
argument is that it comes about as a result of a thermodynamic inevitability.
Which basically you're saying, if I could try and translate, you're saying there's
Translate that in.
in unevenness in the chemicals, or how should I even say this? So it trends towards it. I don't know. I'm trying to think how I could
You're on your way.
translate that.
I could share a video. It's one of those things where it's a lot easier to perceive of it than it is to actually describe it. And I'm glad that at least the point is somewhat getting across, because I can tell by how you just described that there. Can you just repeat what you just said? Sorry.
For understanding, slowly but surely.
Sure. Well, it sounds like if there's a lot of volatile chemicals that eventually, to kind of get to an equilibrium, kind of even out, you're saying nature's way was that it kind of formed into these chemical combinations that we call life.
The evening out thing, that's it. So
As an inevitability, like it couldn't have happened any other way. It had to happen that way because of the laws of physics. Or
well, not only is it evening out, but it's evening out in a more efficient way. Because humans didn't exist at the beginning, right? Why? Because we're so damn good at diminishing energy. So we weren't there at the beginning because it took a while for that precision to evolve.
Also, why? This may be off topic. Oh wait, no, finish. Why?
Because it reduces to a thermodynamic mixing problem, aka equilibrium, just like Trusty 8 podcast said. Good intuition there.
I have to ask, Trusted 8 podcast, could you replace the word crystal with maybe comet?
Or crystal?
Or does it have to be something like that specifically? It has to be a crystal. Could it be a crystallized comet?
Crystal's a pretty generic term. Like, it would be a crystal for mine simply because the water would be in the solid phase, which makes it, I guess, technically a crystal. Like, it's not saying all that much.
Those glasses are crystal and you put them in your purse.
And I also see a lot of fun going back and forth in chat. I see
there is a lot of spice going on.
I just want to actually welcome you to the channel. We love all theist brothers and sisters, as well, of course. This is the Skeptic Den, so the non-believers and the metaphorical, exactly, theists tend to, but we love everybody here. And we are, call me skeptic on how did life arise. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think because it sounds like this is actually a topic that we are converging on.
At least to a point. At least to a point.
Yeah. Well, and evolution, I mean, we really do have to separate it out. It gets conflated because I believe the creationists want to conflate it. It's not that scientists are debating evolution. It is that we're trying to figure out just how it all started. And I think that's where the hot edge of science is.
Cutting edge.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hearing me out, and I appreciate a chance to come on the show.
Check out my debate next week, this next Friday versus Ken Hovind. Can you believe it, Jen? I've got a debate against the Hovind.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Oh,
Can't wait to
we
see
are-
that.
we are excited.
Not only that, but I do have to send out, because I can't help but chill as often as I can. You should be going. Jen has her own channel right down
Yes.
there where she
And
hosts many fun streams herself.
Like
along with
tomorrow
Aaron.
night, her weekend review. Newman.
Woo-hoo.
I always stop in there to check out that stream, see what's going on. And Big
Thanks
Screen
so
Bird
much.
loves you. I saw you sent a heart back to Bird. Big Screen Bird, one of our
Woo-hoo.
longtime devotees. We love you.
But I also want
Who's
to.
a vegetarian now, right?
That's right. Ever since the flood.
He's been
It was very scandalous.
to his vegetarian heritage.
But I do want to give you one last word, Jen. We've been calling me skeptical on how did life arise. What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are, woohoo! James kick ass on the debate with.
Thanks, Jen.
I can't wait to check that out. And my final thoughts on evolution are: it happened. Blah blah blah. Soup. Yada yada yada. Chemicals. Talk to
Deal with
everyone
it.
real soon. Take care.
Rock soup. Thanks, Jen.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so very much, Jen. Lovely having you on as always.
Thanks.
Thank
Great
you
to
so
be here.
much, Jen.
Woohoo! And all right.
Big
With
Screen Bird is
that,
enjoying himself a bowl of barley or whatever vegetarians eat nowadays.
in fact,
Porridge.
woohoo! That's right. And all right.
Enjoy that
we
porridge, Bird.
are actually going to send the link back into the stream. But we are calling me skeptical. James and I will talk a little bit more about the subject. And if not,
James.
we will then head
What-
over to the after show. But we
What
are.
is James Wolf asking me? James W. Did I what? That's a look.
I'm looking. James Wolfie Wolf. What is up?
Now, I did see on Ken Hovind's last stream, well, not his last one, but he did a couple days ago, was Ancient Man primitive? Which, of course, what is the answer to that question, Amy? Was Ancient Man primitive? Yeah, they were. He has a different answer. No, they were more advanced than we are. But regardless of that, at the beginning of the stream, Ken Hovind's going over his debate calendar, and he gets to our debate, and he's like, I've got a debate against James. I don't know his last name, but I've got that debate. Well, you all can
Oh, he
tell
did
him.
call you out.
Yeah. He's like, I've got a debate against James. You can tell him it's W. The last name is W. That's all he needs to know.
Woo-hoo. Well, actually, we are about to have a little bit more of open conversation. I want to send just one more love. Jen and
Thanks,
her
Jen.
channel,
Church of Entropy.
Entropy, right down below. We are calling me skeptical on how did life arise. Woo-hoo. Okay,
Whoa.
I do want to send the link right back into
Thanks, Jen.
because we want to give everyone a chance to come on, and that's right. Thank you so very much, Jen. We are sending love, and also Jen does many awesome debates on modern day debate.
That's right, Jeffrey.
And on here on Debate Me Bro.
She's been on here before too, yeah.
But
Great
we
to have her
have
on.
slots open. I know there was both an atheist and a theist that were waiting behind stage,
Yeah, we're
but
sorry,
it
guys.
got a little long. So
Oh.
we do want to send them love if they want to come back on, but we do have the bird back behind
Bird
the
is the word.
stage.
Oh, shit.
So we're about to go into our next caller. I'm just looking to see if anybody has anything else to say. What's up? Ooh, as I sponsored by Gatorade. What's up, Mika?
We always run late, Mika. Don't worry about it.
That's right. We always kind of run on Amy time.
Newman.
But we're sending love out there into the internetosphere.
Newman time
We
changes
are.
next month. Next, like a week from now, the daylight savings time comes back. We'll
Oh
all start an
my.
hour earlier, which will be a major bummer for us.
To help those farmers. It's funny that daylight savings time is controversial in and of itself.
I hate it. I think we should abolish it and just go back to standard time year round. Of course, the boomers think we should just go back to daylight time year round because they don't work. They don't have to get up. They don't
It's what
care.
you're used to, I think, and so it's hard to change. And yet, I don't think that we have the same farming problems that we once did.
The boomers don't have an alarm clock going off. They don't care.
What's up, Mubarak?
Oh, hey, Mubarak.
Love. And Brian is like, F-U-C-U-S. That's right.
What does that spell, Newman?
Oh my lordy. I do have to send love to Save by Grace, is asking the deep hard-hitting questions in Twitch. I am a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I do have to admit that. In fact, you can find that awesome episode. We haven't done any identity.
We haven't done any. Yeah.
But we love our LGBTQ sisters.
You can
and clearly, you know whose side we're on, because once you leave religion, you kind of drop all of that nonsense baggage about, maybe we should stone those gays.
Read up, go to our previous stream, and you can
that's right.
listen to all about that hypospadias.
But exactly, I'm
glory.
also I used to argue about this all the time in in chat debates, and every time I bring up I'm intersex, it would become like hours long debate on how I'm not. And it's
are you really intersex? Are you really?
Really? You're just trying to give an excuse for why you're transgender. It's like no. I am both, and I am actually happily both. It's okay.
Proud. You don't have to be ashamed of it. You are who you are, right?
Exactly. You can't help be who you. In fact,
thanks to
I would
Freak.
say
Thank
a
you,
lot of
Freak.
people
We love you
spend
too.
their entire Saved by Grace is like, wow. But look, we are,
and we love you too.
I just love. That's right. Sending love to Freak, and I just want to say, what is up? We love all of our theist brothers and sisters. Stick around. We don't care who you are. We're the cuddly version of political incorrectness, and that we'll let you say whatever you want. We won't ban you or mute you unless you break the TOS gods.
Unless you do something
or you're
really,
a giant,
really bad.
Yeah.
15 foot.
That's right, baby. And it's so funny how once you leave religion, how it's so easy to become an LGBTQ ally.
All the hate and the opposition to people who
just get squeezed out of you.
It becomes irrelevant. Why? Why would you waste any time hating people for just being who they are? It's dumb. Outside of religion,
just seems kind of silly. But like I
silly.
said, Saved by Grace. Feel free to call us or
Saved by the Bell.
Look. I always know the streamers out there, whenever they see people who disagree with them, they're like, come on, why don't you join us? If not, you're a chicken. No. Look, if you are comfy, you're eating popcorn, you're cleaning, or you're doing something and just enjoying the podcast, sit down and hang tight. We love just you listening to us. But if you think we're wrong, now is a great time to tell us.
We'll bring on that bird.
That's right. We're about to bring on a bird.
A feisty bird.
A vegetarian bird.
But still feisty.
Very feisty.
Ornery, too.
That's right. And they hate these claims whenever you bring. We want to have actually different ideas and people all coming together to actually make something better. How dare us?
People coming together. That's Amy's dream.
Oh, baby. Well, that too.
Because hate is silly, right? Why would you?
It is. I forget who said this, but hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's just silly.
because you're doing more harm to yourself than to anybody else, and that's so true. Because it really does poison your own mind, your own heart. Yeah,
It does. It's just you seething over a situation or someone that you can't affect or that will only really make you worse. You're only really hurting yourself. Let it out, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, we are going to bring on our vegetarian expert, post-flood, of course, because he was eating meat before the flood. Terrible, terrible. We are bringing on the bird. We are calling me skeptic. How did life arise? What is
welcome
up,
aboard, Bird.
Welcome back aboard.
Woo!
Lovely to have you with us. And of course, we're trying to figure it out. How did life arise?
Well,
Hey,
I mean,
Atheist
let's,
Junior, look at that. We got Atheist Junior out there. Hey, AJ.
AJ and the Heezy. All right, listen, this is a very
We are all AJ fans out here.
easy answer here is we don't know. That's it. End of story. So, evolution does not take into account the beginning of life. It does not. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how many times I hear Bubble say that. It's ridiculous. It does not. But I do. Look, I'm gonna.
It does not. Anyone who's a Mark fan.
I just got
Gizmo agrees with you, Bird.
I just got this great quote that God is capital T truth, right? Okay. Only thing that is fake is me thinking that I have the ability to observe the whole universe. Think about it. I don't have the ability, so I therefore cannot deny God. I mean, I don't know
God
what else
is
you can say.
capital B bullshit.
Capital T
Indeed.
truth, James. You
No,
deny
capital
it.
B.
You deny it, but there's nothing you can do about
Just
it.
gotta believe in your heart.
You just gotta believe in your heart or someplace a little lower.
Oh my! Now we're talking my language.
Woo!
You know how to wake Amy up, Bird. You know how to. You really know how to get her going.
It's true. That's what she said. Anyway, this is nonsense. It's all complete nonsense.
It's all.
And I've finally come to a point in my life where I can tend to get angry and kind of feisty and whatnot, but I'm not even saying you're wrong. I just want you to prove what you're saying. That's it.
Indeed.
And Bert is someone who used to play the organ in church. He used to play the organ in church for 12 years. And
I believed it.
He believed it, just like I believed it. And you know, Bird, when we deal with all these Christians and we tell them that we really believed it, we tell them we were really believers, and they say, you really didn't, you weren't a real believer, you weren't a real Christian. And we try to tell them, yeah, actually, I was. You didn't really believe it. Well, yeah, actually, I did. And you know what that's like when they try to tell you what you know you were. Yeah, it's frustrating, but they do it.
The very first fallacy I learned was the no true Scotsman for that exact reason. I had people that I had gone to church with for years and years and years saying, oh, you weren't a true Christian. Oh, really? Okay, interesting. Well,
so all these years I was just faking it. I was just bullshitting my way through it because I really didn't believe it, because I don't now. And that's what the Bible says, that if they were one of us, they would remain with us. So if they're not one of us, then therefore
one of us. Okay.
So if they're not a believer, therefore they never were a believer. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. I was having a conversation with V57 in the chat, and literally they admitted that they cannot prove God, yet they still believe it. Why? What is wrong with you? How does that even make sense?
I don't think we should believe anything until we have evidence.
Exactly. Thank you. Wow. Why is this so
I think at the
difficult?
end of the day, a lot of it I think who is this? Is this Pat who said it? Is that there's no cost to believing in it? No, this is Nick. That's
There
Nick
is
who's
indeed.
like, there's no cost to believing it. You can come in and say, "Oh, I believe this, I believe that." And hey, there's no cost. But it's
It's a high cost. Yeah.
well, to
Like
them, there's no cost, right?
monetary, no, but you need to define what you mean by cost.
No, in terms of seeding your mind and your heart, your beliefs over, yeah, there definitely is a cost.
Right. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Also, I just want to say to Freak, I see in chat, if you want to come on and you want your licks,
Oh wow!
oh my,
Talk to me, Amy.
If you want your links
You've
to be
gotta
posted,
go to
I
another
will
site
post
for
them.
that.
If you think that will make it fair for a more or a better conversation.
Oh, I think he
Amy.
wants it on Discord.
Amy, I'm gonna post your OnlyFans, okay?
Try on my OnlyFans, please.
Yeah.
But yes.
OnlyFans. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bird,
I'd rather.
I want to thank you so very much. And then I just want to ask again,
Sure.
we have been calling the skeptical. How did life arise?
Well, for me personally, my parents had coitus, and I was
That
out
tends to
9
do
months
it.
later. So there we go.
So, if you could, I think you've done it before, Bert, but if you could just say, while we've got you on, how you went from somebody who played in Oregon in a black church for 12 years, like you told us, and
Yep.
how you, what was it that caused you to have doubts in your faith and ultimately
It was
atheist?
not one thing. It was
Not one thing. Yeah.
no. It was many things over years, and it literally, I felt so ashamed. There was so much turmoil inside me that, how could I not believe this stuff? And it was all in a book, and it wasn't just like, oh, this is the nail in the coffin. It was many things.
Over how long? How long did it take before you started having these doubts? Before you were able to finally?
I would say about
shuffle
a
off
year
the
and
bag?
a year and a half.
About
or
a
so.
year and a half.
Yeah.
Between when the doubts started coming up and
Yep.
before you abandoned Christianity.
Yeah, I mean, it was one. I do remember this. I was watching the debate, and this was, when was that? Ken Ham.
2014, I think.
Oh, yeah,
2014.
I think
yeah,
you're right.
with Bill Nye.
2013. That I watched that whole thing, and I was in awe because all the shit that I was taught had just been torn to shreds.
It was the house of cards just collapsed right in front of you.
Yeah, and so you start looking into archaeology, biology, all these other, facets of science, and you're like, okay, well, this was just made by people, and people make shit up all the time, and we're really good at it. We convince people of all kind of crazy stuff.
Yes, we
all
do.
the time. And
we convince ourselves of crazy stuff all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. I wish we could teach skeptic and reason in schools, but unfortunately in this country, it's not something that's well.
Get me and Amy, skeptic and Randon, get me and Amy in the public schools instead of Ken Hopen.
I was going to say, let us into his pews, and I think we'll have some good results.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that our country is on a rapid decline, and education is definitely one of those stemming subjects that we need help with,
Absolutely.
So, yeah, but I would say I was around 27, 28-ish, somewhere in that area. So, I mean, it was
when
quite
you started to have your doubts.
Yeah, of course.
And how long have you been an atheist, Bird?
Like officially for maybe 6 years now.
Sweet.
Okay.
But before I was like, oh, okay, this is what this means.
You're in your mid-30s right now. You're an atheist.
Well, yeah, I'll be 39 this year, but yeah, I mean,
you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be 39 this year too in July. So
Okay,
birthday, Bird.
on 3, say the date you were born. 1, 2, 3. 30th.
So, July 24th.
Oh, so close.
I'm a little, what,
6
days younger than you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know then that our parents were having sex about 6 days apart.
Well, no, you're 6 days older than me.
Oh, shit.
You're born
Really?
before me, right?
Now you just ruined my night, Bird. Yes, I am now older than Bird.
Yeah.
I was born on the 24th, so my parents had sex 6 days before Bird's parents did.
It's true.
I like to
In
think about that a
1982.
lot.
That's true. That's true.
In 1982, right, Amy?
Exactly.
Yeah, in 1982. Yep.
Yeah.
And we have actual evidence of both of your parents existing, so already we're better off than God.
That's true. I've got
And-
pictures. I've seen them in person. You can meet them as well. So yeah.
Well,
yeah.
my dad is passed on, but my mom is still alive. So,
Well,
yeah.
there you go.
But
Crazy.
yeah,
This is fun. Last
Bird,
shout out.
Thank you so very much.
I am so. Oh my God! I'm so excited for next Friday. I cannot wait.
oh, thank you, Bird.
I'm literally gonna sit at my desk
Get
for
that
the
link up.
next 6 days and just I'm seething.
Oh.
I'm so ready, dude. So ready.
Thank you so much, Bird.
Yeah,
I am
that'll be
so
a
ready.
blast.
It's a dream come true. It really.
Yeah.
And
My only advice is
like-
just take your time and don't do anything I would do.
It's like an opposite dream.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like having a fantastic conversation with Aaron Ra over here, and then
Yeah.
having a fantastic debate with Dr. Dino over here. I feel like those are two good polls.
It's gonna be a challenge, but I'm gonna do my best, and that's all I can do, right? I'm
That's
gonna.
right. Is that modern day debate or SFT?
No, it's on SFT. Ken
course it
Hovind,
is.
I don't think he will show his face on MDB again.
No, he won't.
But he only hunts in friendly grounds.
Poor guy. He's a real rascal, isn't he? A real rascal.
He's running away from that
will
30-day
begin
jail
up here.
sentence that he's appealing that 30-day jail term. He's gonna put it off till the cows come home, but he will eventually, I think, have to do that 30 days. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is James debating? Yeah, I'm debating Ken Hovind a week from today
So crazy.
on SFT. Ken Hovind, it's amazing. I emailed SFT trying to get a debate for somebody else, trying to get work up a debate for some other people that we know, and then he threw that out at me. Hey, would you like to debate Ken Hovind? And I said,
yeah.
well, I
Sign
mean,
me up.
is the Pope Catholic? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's debatable, but yes, I agree with you.
Well, it is, Bird. It depends on who you ask, because
He's not classically Catholic. I know that.
he's not traditionally Catholic, and
No.
that's that.
You have to ask the boys.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Uh,
All right,
But-
literally,
Amy could be Catholic.
last thing I want to say
I do
is
like being on my knees. What were we talking about?
Oh, welcome to seminary, Newman.
the first thing that comes up. Hello, I'm here all night.
Oh my!
All right, literally, last thing I want to say is
She's
we
got
have,
thick knee pads. 'Cause-
she don't need them. Last thing I want to say is Siraj Hawk in the chat. Please, I beg of you. There's no hate in this room unless you are just being a troll and ridiculous. But we want to hear you. We want to have you come up here and tell us what you believe and why you're convinced of a God. We really, really, really want that.
We do.
We're all here for answers. I'm out.
More than
You're amazing.
anything.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you so much, Bird.
Thank
Yeah,
you so very much, Bird. Sending love.
if someone came on here with good evidence and good reasons to believe in a God, I know I would. I know Amy would. I think Bird
Of
would.
course. I know. I
Believe in
would.
that God if they had good reasons.
Yep.
Now, as Amy often says, whether we worship it or not, that's a separate question. We would have to talk more about that. But
course.
would we acknowledge that it existed? Yeah, we would
You
acknowledge
have to.
that.
Yeah.
If there was good reason, if there was evidence, if there was sufficient reason, yeah, we wouldn't deny reality, right?
Correct. I mean, I wouldn't. So,
We
all right,
wouldn't
I'm out.
either.
You're the best.
Have a great night, Bird. Thank you
See
so
ya.
much, Bird.
And all right, with that, we are going to move on to, I think, the final just conversation about the topic,
Yeah.
and then head off to the after show. But
In a
if
blaze
this
of
is
glory.
if you disagree with us, now is the time to join us and tell us why. I mean, if you agree with us, now is also the time. But if
Wow.
you, especially so, if you
Yeah.
disagree with us, we
And
are
I
calling
can't-
you skeptical on how does life arise. What was that?
And I was just going to say thank you so much, Bird. Bird's been one of our
Absolutely.
biggest supporters from almost a year ago when we first started. Bird's been coming on and giving his opinions, and thank you so much, Bird, for all.
Though only a
support of the show.
vegetarian recently, ever since that flood, once again.
Right. He put it back to his pre-flood state as a vegetarian. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bird.
But yeah, come join us now and never. We are wondering how life arose. I think James and I are still very much in the camp of naturally.
I haven't seen anything to indicate anything else. What about you, Amy?
Nothing has even been offered. So far, we had Jen, who I believe brought a naturalistic model.
Mostly naturalistic, yeah.
And then we had Bubble, who I think had no model to show. I mean, I'm sending love to you, Bubble, but
just trying to poke holes in the
really
evolutionary naturalist model and
it's
not
very
really
hard.
scoring any points on that.
Exactly. It's very hard to be convinced when your standard for a different theory is so high and your standard for your own, in my opinion, is so low.
I mean, it's like walking up to like 100-foot wall in front of you and just trying to take pot shots at it. You're not going to do much damage there. It's well established naturalism, reality. There's just no evidence for a god or anything supernatural. We've never seen any evidence of it. We've never had an answer that we needed to appeal to the supernatural, that we needed to bring in a god to explain something. We've never had that happen.
And it doesn't need to be that way. Like, I feel like all powerful is just such a weak concept. Like, just very ironically, this all God has lots of boundaries, like lots of things that they can't do.
How easy is it to say, oh, all powerful, all this, all that? Well, it's very easy because I just said it, but how easy is it to actually manifest in reality? Apparently very hard because we've never seen any evidence of it. So, yeah. All powerful, all this, or
all the
Amy,
omnis.
of course, Amy loves maximally powerful, maximally loving, maximally great, whatever. It doesn't matter what you call it. Same.
Because they're not. They're not even. They're maximally nothing. Like if you
maximally
were maximally
bullshit,
great,
maximally pulling it out of my ass.
We all agree I am not the maximally strongest person on earth. Can we all just agree with that? I think that
there is somebody stronger than you.
Someone stronger than me, and yet I can lift this bottle up. So I feel like a maximally powerful being should be able to pick the bottle up. Simple little thing.
But Amy, you mean gravity? Is gravity real, right? Do you think gravity is real?
I do think. Not only do I think gravity real, I think space is real. I'll give you both.
So Amy, you think the entire gravity of the Earth is pulling down on that Gatorade, but you already said you're not the strongest person in the world, right? There are people, but even you can resist the gravity of the Earth to pick that Gatorade bottle up. Your strength in your arms has more power than the entire gravity of the Earth. Is that what you're telling us? And you think we should believe in science, right? You're on mute, Amy.
You silly
There you go.
scientism people. So I love.
And-
All you need to do is add a tism, and then you can just disregard it.
And people, the thing with that is that's real, and scientists are right now pondering and doing experiments and doing models to try to figure out why gravity itself is weaker than the other fundamental forces. Because we realize that scientists go figure, they're smart. They realize that the entire weight of the Earth pulling down on something, and James here can lift up a can of Coke, and he can withstand the current gravity of the Earth. Mind blown. They're pondering that to wonder why the fundamental forces are what they are. Why is gravity so much apparently weaker than the other fundamental forces? Why is that? We don't know. There are people way smarter than us who are working on that problem right now. And where do you think the answer is going to come from, Amy? Do you think the answer is going to come from an old book, or do you think the answer is going to come from the lab?
Yeah, I think if I had to put my money on it, it's going towards that lab.
Because as Amy, hey, everybody in the chat, good to see you. Long-time supporter, we love you, Ian. But
I'm just a great dude.
He's a good guy. But as we always say, as Amy is always telling these theists and these Christians to get their butt in the lab and produce a model. Give us a model to test and evaluate.
Give us something to work with.
Give us something, but they don't want to do that. They have no model. They have nothing to come with us. They just come out and try to poke holes. In reality, you don't know this, you don't know that, you don't know this. That's not absolute, And of course, they want to confuse burdens of proof and things like that in science, because science doesn't deal in absolute truth. Science doesn't deal in mathematical proof. Science deals in what's demonstrably true beyond any reasonable doubt, beyond a semblance of doubt. And you come up with some crazy backwards scenario where anybody can do that, but is it worth serious consideration? And the answer is no, it's not. Gatorade.
And I also, sponsored by Sugar Water, sponsored by electrolytes. They're what plants crave. But I also find he brought up a claim: we're never going to be able to replicate life. I find that demonstrably funny, because I feel like almost every expert would tell you that that's the way that we are moving, that it will eventually converge.
Even Dr. John Maddox saying after our debate after show, when you asked him what would convince him that maybe God was not real, even he said demonstration that life could be created naturally. And that was amazing, because usually they'll never go that far. Usually they'll just say, I know because I know, and I know, and you could never.
Because I know.
There's nothing you could ever show me that would ever cause me to have any doubt that God was real. But that was amazing that he came out and said, yeah, if you could show me how life could arise naturally, I would have doubts in God.
Apparently that's what's going to convince Bubblegum, but that's never going to happen. So I guess he's safe.
And like I said, there have been claims like that before. They will just reimagine the claims. They'll just that's not really life in a lab. Or as Ken Hovind always does, even if they created life in the lab, that would just prove you need intelligence to make life. So therefore, you needed God to make life.
Down the curb.
Right. Either way, you need God from his perspective. But yeah.
And all right, I think we're going to do about 10 more minutes about that. So if you
kick the can down the curb for 10 more minutes, yeah.
Exactly. So if you would like to tell us, how did life arise, and especially if you don't think that it arose naturally, come on and tell us.
We got here from the freak
I would
here.
say why, but I would rather like to know how. I mean, a stupid virus should be enough to show life after death, since a virus is dead and alive. Well, I'll tell you the interesting thing about viruses is they are the edge of life. The problem with
they're
saying that
borderline life.
I would not say they are both alive and dead. I would say it brings up the interesting notion that we actually have to separate death from not alive.
That's true.
Which are two very different things. You could
Death
say
is
the
something
rock,
was alive and died.
exactly.
Right.
You could say the rock is not alive, but I would not say the rock is dead. Is because it wasn't alive to begin with. And so a virus is really on the edge of what is alive and not alive.
It's borderline.
And
some
it may even
scientists
be where our ancestrals of life began.
And we have viruses as part of our DNA code. There are viruses in our DNA, endogenous retroviruses, that are part of us. We are part virus in a way because there are viruses in the DNA code.
More
and we can't get away from
bacterial DNA in your stomach than actual
DNA. There's cell by cell. There's more bacteria in your body than there are your own cells, and that is what it is.
And
You're
that's
still
because
what you are.
We are. The way I look at bodies in general is that we are a walking, talking ecosystem, and so
that's a way of looking at it.
As long as everything is in harmony and nothing is killing each other, as long as we are in a mutual relationship, everything goes okay.
Everything goes okay.
But please tell us. Oh, what is up? I see Canadian Catholic. What is up?
Oh, hey, Canadian Catholic.
Saying hi to all of our brothers and sisters.
We are two inner circle atheists right here.
That's right.
That's beyond dispute.
I can't help. And remember, James, we did have to sacrifice a virgin to get in there, but you got to do what you got to do.
I mean, the devil is the devil, right? He's got his price, and you got to do what you got to do, even if you're risking life in prison. Because, hey, the devil doesn't care. He's gonna send you to eternity in hell. He doesn't care about life in prison in this life.
He does have to sneak those fossils in under the layers.
Listen, he's got demons to do shit for him, so
it's true.
He's got his people out there doing stuff.
Well, God never does it himself either. He's got to have angels. He's got to have people.
I mean,
middle prophets.
Listen, Bob Larson's out there killing these demons and sending them back to hell, but there are so many. Pastor Bob can't do it all.
True. Only at the commander level.
Are you at the commander level, Amy?
Oh my, I am.
Well, there you go. You should all be at.
That's right. Well, and like I said, we got maybe 5 more minutes. We're counting down like fireworks, but we are.
Come on, Canadian Catholic. Come on.
That's right. We'll give another portion of time if anyone would like to come on.
Come on.
If not,
bring
Darth heading to the after show. I mean, you know what's funny? If Darth came onto the show, we would give him time and energy that he wanted. We would let him ask questions. We would just want ours answered as well. That's just the most annoying thing, in my opinion, about presuppositional apologists, is they will just not. They have a specific chain of command of questions, and you have to answer the entire chain before they answer one. And that's really not how a conversation works.
As I've said, Darth Dawkins would rather stick his sack into a fire anthill than answer 3 questions about his theology.
Indeed. Well, that's the easiest way to break down a presuppositionalist, is just say, you know what, I've converted to Christianity. Let's talk about, your religion. Or I've converted to deism. Now prove Christianity. Please, just present religion, your religion.
I don't talk about that with atheists.
I don't talk religion with atheists. Exactly.
Yeah. You've got to buy into it first. Then you get like Scientology. They don't tell you about Xenu and the Satan's first day. and give you the
We don't
billion
talk
year
about
contract.
Bruno either. That's, I think.
They don't give you the billion-year contract on day one. Once you bought into it,
Well,
then you get the billion year.
that's my favorite thing about people who push the Kalam and all that. They're like, well, come on, you can't just. You have to actually believe in the first cause, and then we can start to talk about a God. It's like, yeah, you got to work your way through all the bullshit. Yeah.
Then you get to the meat of the issue. And Amy's all about the meat, guys. She is really
that thick, long meat.
15 feet
15
preferably,
feet.
but you know, we can't always get that. But
we do what we can.
She does what she can.
Work with whatever we're given.
Hey, Scapegoat Iscariot. Good to see you. Yeah, Darth. Darth. We love Darth.
We love all of our theist brothers and sisters, no matter who you are. I'll keep on saying it over and over because it is true. We don't think you're stupid or less intelligent.
We just disagree with you.
We just disagree. We just think you're wrong on a single subject. Tends to be a big subject that governs a lot of other 15 feet.
At least.
But and the funny thing is, even though many atheists disagree on many subjects, once you stop believing in the main superstition, it's funny how much other
a lot of the other things fall by the wayside, right?
Exactly. Well, you don't have to hate groups of people. You don't have to have this tribalism.
You don't. Because who cares who you go to bed with if there's,
I lagged for a second. Darth can't even maintain normal conversations with other Christians if they don't submit to his argument. Exactly. You have to be his exact version. But we are sending love. I do want to put up on.
Yeah, we see that with a lot of other theists too, like the canon battles, like how they touch.
Yeah, they go after each other. Well, you will almost never see an atheist agnostic takedown video of another atheist or agnostic. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but very not like these schisming No True Scotsman videos that pop up.
Not even close. Not comparable.
And all right, I am going to just remind everyone, I mean, I can feel it within the audience with all the responses that we have been getting
Can
back.
you feel it, Amy?
Oh, I do. It like I've been saying, long and very thick. We've been feeling the anticipation of the James W. versus Ken Hovind debate at Standing for Truth's channel.
1 week from tonight.
1 week.
It's coming up.
And we will be.
Just like 5 weeks ago, we announced it. It's already here. Wow.
I know. Well, I remember when you first announced it, and it was like, oh, but it's like so off from now.
It's so far
just
away.
Mark it on your calendar or something, and then here we are.
Yeah, here we are. 1 week. Thank you so much, Kent.
I'll be definitely in the chat poking my head, and then I'll be coming on for the open mic in the aftermath in Atheist Junior's channel. That's right, baby. So the after party, come check it out.
That's right, you freak. It must be as big as a house. Damn right.
Right. I'll also throw up, if I can get, the after party will be on Atheist Junior's channel. So check out both of those channels.
I'm sure they all know
exactly.
Junior, but if not, you got to be a subscriber to him because he's just great.
And
he's always been good to us, and he's always just been a great guy, great channel.
Exactly, and he's always been doing science experiments on Kent, just like Kent does science experiments with gravity
on women,
on his current wives. Exactly,
on women, yeah. And he's been sentenced to 30 days in jail for one of those.
I was going to say,
experiments.
funny enough, his data is getting peer reviewed, and the conclusion may be
The
jail.
judge said go directly to jail, but he's
Do not collect $200.
Yeah,
Do not pass go.
Yeah.
But all right.
Praise God, DeFree.
I think I'm going to send the Skeptic and Ranting community server into chat, which you can join us at the after show. But I think any final words, James? We have been calling me skeptical, and we have been asking how did life arise?
I think it's natural. I think it's a natural process. I think that's all we've seen. That's all we've ever seen. We've never seen anything else. I don't think there's any reason to believe that life requires anything else. When we open up a cell, we look inside there. What do we see? What do we see in a cell? We see matter and energy obeying the laws of physics, which is the same thing we see anywhere else. In fact, we've never seen anything else happen anywhere. The only place we think that breaks down is at the center of a black hole. Well, two, but at the center of a black hole. So if there's any need for magic, that's what it would be. If it's not inside the cell, there's nothing magical inside there. So if it doesn't need magic to operate, why would we think it needed magic to get itself started? It doesn't make sense. But nothing in religion does make sense. It's all magical, right, Amy? And therefore, probably all bullshit.
Yeah, that's the way it seems. But, like we keep saying, come change our mind. And all right, with that, I think we're going to hand it over to Gizmo to help us close out, because I do want to thank all of you for joining us on tonight's episode of Call Me Skeptical. How did life arise? Where tonight we opened up the internet phone lines to see if someone could help us understand how did life come about.
And Gizmo just wants another cat treat. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about life.
Very good producer. Who's been a good producer?
He wants another cat treat. So.
And I just want to thank you all, because we had fun a billion years in the making. I do want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our guests, Bubble, Jen, and Bird. Woohoo!
Thanks, guys. And thanks, guys, for the ones who didn't get to make it on.
Exactly. Sorry. I did see some fantastic people backstage, both atheists and theists, who are waiting back there. And we will have... This
is a special kind of show.
Exactly. We'll have more fun shows to continue the conversation. And I think it's going to be kind of our weekend call-in shows. That seems to be a good...
We'll try to do those on
slot.
The weekend. Yeah, we get the most theist participation, because let's face it, sometimes they get shy. They don't want to. They get a little.
I see House of Comments and Questions. He's never shy. We come on to the next podcast. We're going to be having more fun. I think Noah is actually on deck to be our next open mic subject. So check that out. And as well, check out our after show. That's right. A global flood everywhere? No. But
what do the flat earthers think of that? Global flood, a worldwide flood.
I love this. I was talking about this with Rachel like a week or so ago, because she was trying to figure out how flat earthers, how do they not think that the water doesn't go off the earth? And so they had to create that dome thing.
Antarctica, the ice wall.
Because, and an ice wall, all that shit, because it doesn't make any sense. It would be all the water, everything would fall off. And so you got
God would have to be it would have to be like a spigot, like in this.
Yeah, it'd be really special.
More water coming off and the water drains off like a loop.
But that really makes no sense. Like, that is really a dumb response, because it's just a dome floating, not in space, because space doesn't exist. Why is it domed? Because, well, we had to make an ad hoc reason for why everything's not falling off.
Amy, the stars are up there somewhere. Where are the
Somewhere.
stars? Where's the moon? It's got to be up in the dome, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you look up, it
It's a snow globe.
looks like a dome. And even Dr. Hovind himself has said, maybe.
Oh, I know. James, can you imagine you and the Dr. Ken Hovind on a dream team against two flat earthers? I know I can.
But even he has stated, well, maybe the entire universe is just on a snow globe on top of God's dresser.
Maybe
So
we're all
maybe
just brains and vats.
Maybe just God comes along and just shakes up the universe and puts it back on his dresser. There you go.
Exactly. Like I said, it's the snow globe model of reality.
There's good evidence for it, right?
Exactly. Definitely. And all right, I do want to send love to everyone out there in chat. What's up, Doorknob Head?
Doorknob Head.
To all of our mods as well, who make this stream so great. And, of course, lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. Then it gains you access to that bell icon, which once set to all will give you reminders to join our live streams. Woohoo!
Gizmo's like, are you going to the show now? Yep, we're almost done, Gizmo.
Almost done. Or hey, once we are done, why not leave a comment in the comment section? Woo! After the show, we will be heading over to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord, the server, the link of which is in the description below. Lastly, if you'd like to help us make even more fun content, we offer some perks for our supporters by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman.
You're right, Doorknob Head. He will meow until I won't be able to sleep. I won't be able to do anything. It'll just be a constant chorus of meowing.
So did we train them, or did they train us? That's
like I've told you before, Amy. You've been trained by an animal that poops in a box on your floor.
And
so have I. And so have I.
That's right. But it's okay because they're adorable. And with that,
we love them.
I hope you all have a fantastic night. We will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Mwah.